Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August 22nd Planning Board meeting of the City of Jersey City. If we could come to order and please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everybody. Cam, could we have a sunshine announcement, please?
Yes, good evening, Chairman. Today is Tuesday, August 22nd in the year 2023. This is a Jersey City Planning Board meeting with a scheduled 5:30 p.m. start time. This planning board meeting is being held virtually as a video conference that is open to the public. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been given into the editor of the Jersey Journal, the Jersey City Reporter, and posted with the city clerk on August 18th of 2023. This meeting was also posted on the Jersey City Division of City Planning webpage, and all distribution materials made available to the board were published and available to the public.
All right, thank you, Cam. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Chairman. Okay. Commissioner Cruz,
Here.
Commissioner Green,
Present. Finally.
Commissioner Gangaden,
Here.
Commissioner Lipsky.
Present.
Okay, and Chairman Langston.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 commissioners present and more coming. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Could we swear in the staff, please, Mike?
I see Mallory, Tanya, Matthew, Francisco. Do you guys, and Cameron, do you guys swear any testimony you get tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Cam, do you want to do correspondence?
Yes. So we have 7 items on the agenda tonight that have requested to carry to the September 5th meeting, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting. These 7 items have requested to carry with preservation of notice, and I will go through them chronologically. Starting with item 14 on our agenda. That is case P22-210. That's address 27 to 29 Fayette Avenue, a preliminary and final site plan with C variances. They have requested to carry with preservation of notice to September 5th of this year. Next item that has requested to carry is item 20 on the agenda. That is for a preliminary and final major site plan with C variances as well. The case number is P23-076. The address is 829 Bergen Avenue. They have requested to carry to September 5th of this year. Next item requesting to carry with preservation of notice is item 22 on the agenda, case P23-050. The address is 629 Liberty Street. It's a minor site plan with C variances. They have requested to carry with preservation of notice to September 5th of this year. Next, item 23 on the agenda, that is case P23-016. That is for address 361 Tunnelly Avenue, a preliminary and final major site plan with variances. They've requested to carry with preservation of notice to September 5th. Next, item 24 on the agenda. This is case P2023-0005, a conditional use at address 95 Monticello Avenue. They have requested to carry to September 5th with preservation of notice. Actually, I'm sorry. Item 24, they will renotice. So there is no preservation of notice on item 24. You will receive new notice for the conditional use at 95 Monticello Avenue. Item 25 on the agenda. That is case P23-025. That is address 9 Monitor Street. This is just a C variance application. It is requesting to carry with preservation of notice to September 5th of this year. Item 26 on the agenda. This is a minor site plan with C variances. They've requested to carry also to September 5th of this year. The address is 457 Grand Street. The case number is P22-233. They've requested to carry to September 5th with preservation of notice. And that's it. Everything else tonight is to be heard.
Okay, thanks, Cam. So anybody from the public, if you're here for any of those applications, they will be moved to our September 5th meeting. You will not receive new notice with the exception of 95 Monticello Ave. You will receive new notice for that. But this is your notice that those will be heard on September 5th. That being said, I do need to leave this meeting early tonight. So unfortunately, we do have board business to discuss. So we are going to enter an executive session real quick. If everybody just wants to sit tight, we are going to have this meeting open. Don't leave this meeting, but we will enter executive session and then we'll come back and kick off the meeting. All right. So Cam, do I need a motion now to enter executive session before we switch off?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the board enter into executive session.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for an executive session.
You could just do an affirmative vote, all in favor. You don't have to roll call.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, so sit tight, everybody. We'll be back in a few. All right, I guess we can move on. We're still waiting for Commissioner Stamato, but we do have quorum. So I would apologize before. I don't think we got to adjournments, Cam.
Think I'm back.
Oh, we got Commissioner Stamato.
We did actually go through the adjournments. I could go through them again.
I'm sorry, I had my volume down.
We did do adjournments, but I could go through them again real quick. If you-
No, the adjournment that's on the agenda. It's item 6 on the agenda. Under A. We are carrying with preservation of notice to a date certain September 5th, 2023. That's our next regularly scheduled meeting. Case number P23-039 is a conditional use for a class 5 cannabis retailer at 746 Grand Street. Once again, we're carrying that item to September 5th, which is our next scheduled meeting. So if we move on to old business, I'd like to call case P23-110 is a 1-year extension for 80 and 112 Thomas McGovern Drive.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Lisa John Basta on behalf of the applicant with CSG Law.
Good evening, council.
Good evening. I submitted a letter dated June 7, 2023, asking for an additional 1-year extension of the protection periods. The board may recall that in June of 2021, the board granted an approval for a self-storage facility on this property that was subsequently challenged by an objector. The court proceedings remanded it back to the board for additional findings really related to signage, and the board adopted a resolution September 2022. The trial court ultimately upheld the board's approval, and the objector appealed to the appellate division. Due to the ongoing litigation, it has delayed the commencement of construction, which is the reason for the 1-year extension request.
So I'm obviously not a lawyer. These approvals don't get put on hold while these things are in litigation. That clock continues to tick.
So Chairman, it's a conservative approach to request the extension. I believe during the pendency of any appeal that it is told, but out of an abundance of caution, counsel is seeking to extend it just to make sure that there's no question about it. The statute specifically reads from the actual approval So I think conservatively, the right thing to do is to request the extension. And I think the board, given the fact that there was the litigation, those are the reasonable reasons and circumstances why the project has been delayed.
Okay, understood. That would be my only question. Anybody else? Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, everybody. At this time, let's open it up for public comment on this application. If anybody's here from the public that wants to comment on this one-year extension, please raise your hand. And if you're calling in, you can press *9 to raise that hand.
Chair More Public, I wish to close the public portion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Public is closed. Mallory, do you have anything you want to add? Any concerns?
I'm covering for Mallory real quick. And planning staff only asks that the applicant's attorney agree to the original conditions of approval. And if those conditions are acceptable, planning staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. And counsel, I assume you're going to be fine with those conditions?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion then.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P 23-110 as presented it to the board with the extension of approval on previously case P 21-020 for approval.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval.
Okay, acting Vice Chair Gangadin,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and Chairman Langston.
Aye.
All right, motion carries, all in favor.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a
counsel.
good night.
You too. I do have to make one adjustment here on our agenda. I did say earlier, I am gonna have to leave this meeting a little bit early tonight, so I want to get item 12 right up front is case P23-108 is a preliminary and final major site plan for 693 to 701 Newark Avenue. And after this case, we'll get right back on track with the agenda as written.
Promoted Charles Harrington and Allison Casetta. Hi, Allison. Who else is on your team so I can promote them?
Good evening, everyone. Let me think, I have to go down the list. Brian Liebeskind from Dresner Robin. Sam Bellamy, also from Dresner Robin. Our architect, Paul, I might mispronounce his name, Freitas. And I think other than Chuck, that should be it for right now.
Okay, there is not a Brian with the last name that you pronounce in the audience. There's only.
He's has his hand raised, I believe.
Hand raised is
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
all right. I think we have everybody in. All right, counsel, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Just bear with me 1 second because I see Chuck has his camera off.
Could
Looks
be,
like-
can you hear me?
Yes,
We can.
I have my camera on. I don't know why it's not working. This happened last.
Definitely on. But
Let me
it's
see.
black, Mr. Harrington.
I'll put it on, let me put it on my phone. Sorry about that. I'm gonna cut off and then I'm gonna join on my phone.
Okay, gotcha.
Cam, I believe he's rejoined. Could you promote him again, please?
Okay, there we go.
We gotcha.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so sorry, I stepped away. I didn't realize we were jumping to this matter. But for the record, Charles Harrington of Connell Foley on behalf of the applicant. This is, well, we did provide notices for this matter, so I'd ask that they be reviewed and marked into the record. I know we're not asking for any deviations, but we did notice because it's a major site plan.
Thank you, counsel. I haven't received your affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application at 693-701 Newark Ave here in the city. Chairman, I've had the opportunity to review it. All does appear to be in order. We're going to mark it as A1 for purposes of the record.
All right, thank you, Santa.
Okay, thank you. So the project before you tonight is for preliminary and final site plan for a project that we're excited to present. It is kind of like the final component of the Homestead Place extension. As this board is aware, the Homestead Place extension runs from Pavonia Avenue right outside Journal Square north to Newark Avenue. This property sits on Newark Avenue and will be the last project in which the extension will continue to. Years ago, this board, I think, was presented with a plan with the Dream Hotel. That did not come to fruition. This is, a subsequent project with a new developer. And my client has been designated as the redeveloper by the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency. We have been working in concert with them and with the Division of Planning, as well as the Engineering Department and Traffic Department with the project that is before you tonight. As you see in the agenda, the project is very, very unique in that it is proposing 20% of the overall units to be affordable housing. My client will be applying for programs through the state with the Aspire program and the 4% tax credit program. As part and parcel of that and our redevelopment agreement with the redevelopment agency, the 20% will result in 72 affordable units of the 360 that are being proposed as part of this project. And that would also be a mix of units of 1, 2s, and 3-bedroom units, consistent with the appropriate regulations. I note the project tonight. There is no parking in the project. The redevelopment plan does not require any parking, as this board is aware of. But initially, I just note that we did propose to have parking here because this is a property that is currently being used as a municipal parking lot. Upon review with the planning department and the Jersey City traffic engineers, they recommended that we take the parking out because they had concerns about a curb cut on Newark Avenue, and I believe being directly adjacent to the pedestrian walkway. So we've taken that out, and we believe it really resulted in a better project. But that being said, we've also because of some concerns that we received from the councilman and through the councilman to other people in the community. We have agreed to provide for interim parking on 2 lots behind this that are also part of the Homestead Place extension. Those 2 lots would provide for a minimum of 45 spaces on a type of carousel, and those properties have already been approved by this board for an interim parking lot, as well as dog run and park. So we're just going to introduce additional parking until that project gets developed, or we can, and in the meantime, we're going to look for other opportunities in the immediate area for public parking. And that piece, just for the benefit of the board, that is phase 6 of the NAMDAR Group's projects at the or along the Homestead Place extension. So to put it in context, that pursuant to their agreement with the JCRA, that has a build out time period of up to 2032. The NAMDAR Group is way ahead of schedule, but so that there's a lag that project will be built, so that interim parking can be in place for some time, and even during construction, so that the community still has access to these parking spaces. So that's kind of an overview where I have 2 witnesses tonight. No planning testimony because no deviations. I have Brian Lipskin from Dresner Robin, and Paul Friedis, who is the architect for many of the projects along Homestead Place through the NAMDAR project. And with that said, I'll kind of jump right into it and bring up Brian.
And Mr. Harrington, I know in the past you have shared an exhibit of the entire Homestead Place and where the various projects are along the Homestead Place. Obviously, this is up on Newark Ave. I don't know if you have that exhibit, but perhaps it would be beneficial.
I don't think we have that exhibit, but I think Brian could probably point that out on his plan, because this is the northernmost piece. And I'll look at his plan. Yes, actually, we have that diagram actually on the cover sheet of the architectural plan. So Mr. Friedis can also address that during his testimony.
Thank you.
All right, Brian, I'll swear you in. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Sure. Brian Liebeskin, Brian. Liebeskin, Liebeskin.
Thank you.
Mr. Liebeskin, good evening. We've qualified you in the past. Is your license current tonight in New Jersey?
It is.
Okay, thank you, sir. You qualified.
Thank you.
Mr. Harrington, as always, we're up to A2. If you're going to share any slides, any exhibits that aren't part of the package, I'll allow you to determine, we'll mark A2, and however we proceed from there.
Thank you. I think tonight we're going to just go with the plans that are part of the package. Right, Brian? You don't have any additional exhibits with you, is that correct?
We have a colored version of the site plan.
Okay, so we'll mark that as A2.
And if for the benefit of the board and the public, if we want to go through the Homestead walkway plans, which were approved earlier this year, for context, we can share those.
Yeah, that'd be great, Brian, if you can show that so that all members, if they're not familiar with it, it can refresh their recollection.
Sure.
So why don't we make the Homestead plan all right, so you're going to make this A2 and then the Homestead plan A3 when we get to the color rendering?
Yes.
Now, this is the Homestead plan.
That's right. Right, Brian?
Yes.
All right, so let's make this A2. And if there's a last revision date on it, let's just call it out for purposes of the record.
Last revised March 28th, 2023.
Thank you.
As Mr. Harrington explained, the project site is the northern end of the Homestead Walkway, fronting along Newark Ave. Is between JFK Boulevard to the west and Summit Ave to the east. Existing site is a surface parking lot. The 0.32 acres comprise 5 individual lots and are all located within Zone 5 of the Journal Square redevelopment plan. Again, for everyone's benefit, the overall Homestead Place extension included the projects noted on the plan here. Those have all been approved by the board. The most recent, directly to the south of our project, 26 Taj Street, was recently constructed. As noted, this project represents the last piece of the walkway. So flipping to a rendering of the proposed project. As mentioned, proposed project is a 34-story mixed-use building, including 360 residential units, about 3,000 square feet of ground floor retail, as well as the extension of the Homestead Place walkway, which runs along the first floor of the building. Additionally, there is a 5-foot wide overhang along Newark Ave, which allows for a wider pedestrian sidewalk. In terms of zoning, with the Homestead Place extension bonus and using the Zone 3 bulk requirements, the application before you tonight is fully compliant with the redevelopment plan. The architect will walk through the characteristics of the proposed building. In terms of site improvements, though, you'll feel this is a great ending point for the walkway itself and the connection to Newark Avenue. We are providing a 21.9 foot wide walkway at the northern end where it meets Newark Ave. That widens to 23.7 feet at the southern end. The height clearance starts at 20 feet on the Newark Ave side and increases to 21.5 feet on the southern side. The lighting along the walkway itself will be a combination of wall sconces and recessed lighting. We have a lighting plan in the civil set which shows the proposed lighting along there, and the light levels average 1.8 foot candles along that stretch. The utility rooms for the building are in the northeast corner with the electric vaults and other meter rooms. The rest of the building that lines the pedestrian walkway is it features the residential lobby and retail entrances, and really helps activate that space. Along Newark, we're proposing to redo the street frontage on the south side of the street, and also provide a raised crosswalk to the north side. So per coordination with city transportation, we will work with their office and utilize the same style pedestrian crossing as elsewhere on the Homestead walkway. This will include a striped bump out within the parking areas, flexible delineator posts, and again, provide a crossing that's flush with the sidewalk. This will also include flashing beacons and warning signs on both sides of the street. And we'll also be providing a striped loading zone and drop-off area along the frontage. Addition, it would be replacing the curb, milling, repaving Newark Ave, and providing street trees, in accordance with the forestry standards. In terms of utilities, all of the proposed utility services will tie into the mains on Newark Ave. There's a 10-foot wide by 25-foot long detention basin. They'll be located within the Homestead Walkway and tie into the 48-inch combined sewer in Newark Ave. Similarly, the other utilities for sanitary, sewer, electric, gas will also be underground and tied to the existing mains. Have proposed bicycle parking along Newark Ave, in compliance with the city requirements for the retail space, and overall, think based on the conversations we've had with the city, we can address all the comments that have been raised, and we'll leave that to the architect again to walk to the building. But if there are no further questions, that concludes my testimony.
Okay, Brian, I just have a few follow-up questions, just to clarify for the record. You've received and reviewed comment letters from the Division of Engineering, the JCMUA, and the Division of Transportation, Planning and Traffic Engineering. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we've had discussions with the respective review agents. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we have we, the developer, have no issue with complying and working with them to address and comply with their comments. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then I should note one exception is with regard to a comment about the bike room being moved to the ground floor, but that we can address with Mr. Freitas. And then one last question is we're providing for 4 street trees, and it's my understanding that the forestry would require 5, but we are requesting a waiver for 1 and a payment in lieu because of the walkway going through the property. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. I have nothing further for Brian.
All right, thank you, counsel. Yeah, that was my only question is, if he could comply with the engineering, MUA, and transportation comments. So I have no other questions. Anybody else? Any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, then I want to move on to Paul Freitas, who is the architect of record, and as I said earlier, he has been the architect of record for all the NAMDAR projects along the Homestead.
I'm Paul, swear you in. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Paul Freitas, Paul Freitas.
Thank you.
Mr. Freitas, good evening. Again, we've qualified you in the past. Your license is current tonight in New Jersey?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. You're qualified.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Let me share screen.
And Paul, we don't need to enter any exhibits. You're just going to go through the plans that are of record, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, does everybody see the screen? Just making sure.
We can, yes.
Okay, great. So again, our property is a mixed-use building, situated at 693-701 Newark Avenue. It is a 34-story mixed-use building with a gross floor area of approximately 353,000 feet. It's 34 stories, as I've mentioned, at its height as 392 feet. The lot size is 13,841 feet. The building is comprised of areas which are residential, tenant amenity, retail, and utility. The residential floor area is comprised of approximately 329,676 square feet. Tenant amenity spaces, approximately 15,358 square feet. Retail space at 2,979 square feet, and utilities at 4,583 square feet. As my colleague, Mr. Liebeskin, had shown earlier, the lot basically serves as the portal for the Homestead extension on Newark Avenue, with the bulk of it heading south towards Pavonia Avenue and Journal Square. What makes the building kind of interesting is that people are basically passing through the building and creating a portal was a very important aspect to the project. When I show you the elevations and the plans, you'll get a better sense of what I'm talking about. The residential portion of the building is comprised of a number of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. There are 93 studio apartments, which comprises approximately 25.8% of the unit count. There are 224 1-bedroom apartments, which comprise 62.2% of the apartment count. There are 31 2-bedroom apartments, which is 8.6%. And there are 12 3-bedroom apartments, which comprise of 3.3%. As the esteemed Mr. Harrington had mentioned, 20% of these units will be affordable housing, which totals 72 units. I'm just going to zoom in on the floors. This is an easy way to do it. As you'll notice, in the first floor, we have a commercial corner and another retail corner with the Homestead Place passing through the building. So this is basically the opening that allows people from Newark Avenue to kind of circulate down south towards the rest of the Homestead Place. There's also a residential lobby, which services the residents, a trash area, which allows for easy ingress and egress out of the building onto Newark Avenue, as well as access to a service elevator. On the second floor, we have our bike room, which is required by code, a tenant amenities floor with an open outdoor terrace. The third floor is basically a typical floor, goes from 3 to 21, which are a number of mixed, variety of different sized units, studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. And from 22 to 33 is just a different layout, but it's again all residential. And the 34th floor, being the roof, is basically open terrace and amenity space. As I mentioned earlier, 2628 Cottage is the latest project that abuts the building, and that's on the south space of Newark of the building. It's highlighted in this gray area. This is the massing of the building, showing each and every one of the floors, and it's height at 392 feet. There's the first floor, and I can get a little better detail. Second floor is the amenities, as I've shown earlier.
And before you go up to the top floors, Paul,
Yes.
there was a comment in the transportation and planning letter that made a recommendation or at least to consider putting part of the bike room on the first floor. And is that's something that's not feasible because it would take space away from the other programming and uses on the first floor. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We felt that it's probably more important to have something that's a little more engaging with the retail and the residential lobby and the retail in this area. We couldn't avoid losing this corner to the utilities. So we were afraid of adding additional storage areas with no windows and no light and not engaging this entry area. Insofar as it's basically the start of this the Homestead Place. So adding storage there, we thought was a bad move. And we wanted to kind of put program in there that would keep things active and open and have eyes on the opening. So we provided it on the second floor. People who need to take their bikes out, there's a service elevator, so there's access to it's easy access to get the bikes out in and out of the building. So we figured that was a good compromise.
Okay, thank you.
So 3 through 21, again, a variety of different apartment types, as well as 22 to 33. And then a large amenity space with roof terrace surrounding it. Bulkhead plan. These are the exterior lighting plans that are just basically, we wanted to make certain, and this is an ongoing concern of ours and for everybody, is to make certain that this pass-through is properly lit and safe and maintains a sense of security when you pass through it. We want to make it almost a beacon for people to understand that this is a means of accessing a public right of way. So we're actively we're active in trying to make sure that it's properly lit and safe to all occupants that pass through it. I'm going to zoom out for the elevations. The elevations are, the bulk of the building is comprised of a unitized curtain wall system made by Schuco. It's a high performance system that provides the building with a very good weather enclosure, as well as being very efficient with respect to energy use. So basically, this is the Newark elevation here. I'll pull out a little further so you can see the whole building. It's a rather tall building, so forgive me if you lose some detail. So basically, you've got the bulk of the building, which is the Schuco system. We've got on the upper areas a colored aluminum facade, and at the base, here I'll zoom in on there. Come on. Apologize. Come on. Here we go. So you'll notice that these are the transformer walls that PSE&G require on the street. We've got our residential and retail entrance on the side with a residential entry for move-ins and outs, as well as a trash access as well. All of this is fronting Newark Avenue. And as you will note, that the opening is 20 feet high, and then it kind of cants up to create kind of a portal. We're going to be putting signage on it to kind of let people know that this is a public space versus versus thinking it is some sort of private entry. The portal itself gets larger as it moves along. It gets wider and taller as well.
And Paul, for the benefit of the board too, we have had discussions with the planning division about working with them on creating signage that's appropriate to draw people into the entrance here.
That's correct. Yeah, so that's an ongoing plan. We want to make certain again that wayfinding is appropriate for the area, that people recognize this as a, more or less like a shortcut to Journal Square. So again, this colored portion above is basically an opening that's kind of canted back into the building. It kind of just accentuates the opening. We really want to make sure that people understand that this is the portal for the space. A portion of the elevations that have no fenestration are addressed with a water managed ephes finish. These portions of the building are basically up against lot lines, and in some instances will be concealed as further development occurs down the road. This is the elevation on your left is the north elevation of the building with the inset, and again, it's made with the same Schuco unitized curtain wall panel, as well as this recess inside the building, which is basically a light well for the apartments on that side. All Schuco unitized curtain wall. And we put these really cool people in here to just give you guys a sense of scale. So you can see it's a rather large opening. These lower drawings represent a section through the building. So you're seeing on the top the front elevation of Newark Avenue, and then these are basically the west partial elevation shows a cut through the building. So this is the opening here with our residential entry as well as the commercial space, and then here's the other part of the commercial space servicing the interior part of Homestead Place. Access doors for both utility spaces, and I think that's the extent. And then we did, of course, a shadow study, which I think is part and parcel of your application. And so if you have any other questions, I think that's all I have for you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Freitas. Mr. Harrington, anything for your witness?
No, I have nothing further for Mr. Freitas.
Okay, just a couple of quick questions for Mr. Freitas. One being, my screen's acting up here tonight. Why is this? Okay, so one question, I believe it's in the engineering comments or it's in the traffic comments, I forget which one, is just the paver material, that it will match the walkway material to the south of the property?
That's correct.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Charles, please go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that this is going to be a unified public right of way. And of course, we want to make certain that that there's a common theme that ties everything together. So it is my understanding that all of the paving will be the same.
Okay,
And,
excellent.
To confirm that, Mr. Chairman, this parcel and portion of the extension was part of the site plan approval that this board approved a number of months ago. So it's already it's already approved and baked into the walkway, if you will. It's going to match everything.
Okay, understood. The other question I have, I don't think you need to bring the plans up again, but the 34th floor, the amenity space, it's rare. I think this is the first time I've seen this, that the trash chute extends to that floor. Is there any programming that we need to know about, a restaurant, something like that?
No, this is strictly for tenant use. We just think if we're going to run a chute up, it's got to go all the way up through the bulkhead. Why not have have the ability to let trash, if you have some people over, or you're emptying stuff, just to put the trash chute and send your garbage down the way rather than waiting for an elevator.
All right, understood. My last question regards the ephes on the exterior. I understand that's gonna abut other projects in the future. I just want to get on record. We usually put and I'm sure council, you're familiar with this, we put a condition on ephes that any cutting of the ephes happens interior, that no material is allowed to blow out of the building and into the neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay, so you'd agree to that condition of all EFS shall be cut interior?
Yes, we would.
Okay. That's it for me on questions. Anybody else? Any questions?
Uh,
And it's not really a question, it's a comment on how much I hate PTAC units. Just, I think it's a much better looking project if there were no PTAC units on there, but you know, that's a personal opinion.
Understood.
All right, thank you, Mr. Freitas. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, council, anything else?
No, that completes our presentation.
Okay, so at this time, and we'll obviously allow a closing statement after public. At this time, let's open it up for public comment. If anybody's here from the public that wants to comment on this application, you can raise your hands, or you can press *9 to raise your hand if you're calling in. Anybody from public?
Chairman seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I move to close the public. Well, there's somebody who just jumped in. Phone number.
Good evening, how are you? Phone number ending in 8886.
Or do we have you?
I see you unmuting and muting, but we don't hear anything if you're talking.
Is anybody there?
I see them toggling the mute, but nothing's happening.
They disconnected and don't seem to.
Yeah, did we just lose that caller?
The participant. We want to wait 30 seconds or to a minute.
Yeah, let's just give them a minute. I want to make sure anybody that wants to be heard is heard.
Chairman seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I move to close the public portion of this meeting.
Second,
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Public is closed. Council, do you want a closing statement? Do you need anything?
No, I think I pretty much summed it up in my opening that we're excited about it because this is, you know, the other end of the walkway. So now we have, you know, the bookends, and we're going to have an affordable housing component. It's also all a union, entirely union job. I failed to say that in the beginning. That's part of the agreement with the redevelopment agency. So you're going to have 100% union job with 20% affordable units here in Journal Square. And, you know, I think that was a concern of many too, that we're not seeing affordable housing as part of these buildings that are going up in the area. So I think it really fills a need in many ways.
All right, thank you, council. And we appreciate that that it'll be union, but obviously that has no bearing on our decision. Being a union member, I do want to put on record that council, we've had no discussion about this project.
Absolutely not.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, Matt, do you have anything you want to add? Welcome to the board.
Yes, thank you. This
Planning
is my,
Department?
this is my first time speaking before this board.
We're excited. We're excited.
Thank you, Chairman Langston. Yes, I do have a few things. I'm going to share my report that is already entered in evidence.
Sure.
And just walk through a few things related to this project. As the applicant's attorney stated, this is an as of right project. It's going to cap off the Homestead Place extension. Related to the Homestead Place extension, we have recommended several conditions that are you don't see very often. We're recommending sign off in the Division's Transportation of Traffic Engineering regarding the final configuration of both the crosswalk and the tunnel itself. We're asking the applicant to agree to the responsibility of providing the ongoing maintenance of Homestead Place. We, per the requirements of the Bonus A affordable housing used, we're asking the applicant to agree to comply with Chapter 188 of the Municipal Code and coordinate with the Division of Affordable Housing as necessary to fulfill the requirements of that bonus. And perhaps most importantly, we're asking the applicant to agree to enter into an agreement with the city regarding non-exclusive perpetual public access, a deed of easement, and record that deed with the county. I'd also like to add, this isn't in my report, but given the applicant's interest in providing interim off-site parking, that we make that the provision of that parking a condition in this resolution as well.
Yes, and all those conditions would be acceptable. And just for the record, we intend on adding that as part of our agreement with the JCRA as well as the RDA.
I do have a concern about the condition on the parking, being that it's off-site. Santo, can we legally require that condition?
As I understood it, the applicant controls that parcel.
And
We
that's,
have, yeah, my client has an ownership interest in those parcels. That is correct.
okay, so I have no
And then,
problem.
and we'll provide for that in our redevelopment agreement with the JCRA.
Okay, understood. Yeah, I have no problem with it then if it's your property.
Obviously, Mr. Harrington, the condition that it is subject to the RDA.
Yes.
Okay, Matt, anything else?
No, I just want to emphasize it's an as-of-right project. This is one of the first mixed income projects we've seen in Journal Square in a very long time. It's part of the city that hasn't seen affordable housing development before. And I recognize that the applicant has agreed to all recommended conditions.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion then.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve case P23-108 as presented to the board this evening for approval.
Second.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval. Matt, can you stop your screen share, please? All right, thank you.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
That's all right, no problem. All right, could we have a roll call, please?
Acting Vice Chair Gungadin.
I'm happy to see the affordable units on this building as well, and the parking. And appreciate that it's going to be union jobs. My vote is aye, yes.
Commissioner Dr. Desai.
Yeah, it's such a nice project. Only problem is who is in charge of this, or who is going to take care of it.
Doctor, I'm
That's
sorry,
what
I can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
Tom.
can you? I don't know what you can do about it, but I just can't hear you.
Can you just get closer to the mic or computer, doctor?
It's a nice project. And I just want to know who is going to take care of the Homestead tunnel over there. Is they are going to take care of the tunnel?
Yeah,
And the
yes, absolutely.
security there?
Yes, that would be the responsibility of the developer.
And otherwise, it's a nice project. I would vote aye.
Commissioner Green.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Cruz.
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato.
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky.
Yeah, so I love it. As council said, it brings this to the northern portion of the project to Newark Avenue. I think it's going to front nicely across from the apartments at 700 and 730 Newark Avenue. I think it'll add a nice building, as Mr. De Silva, I think is adequately stated, and a great project to get your feet wet in here on the board. And then, as my fellow Commissioner Gangden said, it hits all the right boxes: affordable housing, union, bikes. I mean, it's a model project, so best wishes. I vote aye.
And Chairman Langston.
Yeah, I agree with my other commissioners. You know, it's obviously an as of right project. It complies with all the zoning that's in place for that site. I can't wait to see that retail use in action. I think it's a great idea. Aside from my personal apprehension about PTAC units, you know, again, it's a great project, and I'm gonna vote aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor with conditions.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, council. Mike, it's 7:20. Can we get you a break?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. And this is my chance to exit tonight. And I'm leaving this in very capable hands tonight. So it is 7:20. The board will be back at 7:30 with fresh face in the chair seat and the vice chair seat. So enjoy your night, guys.
Take care, Chairman.
Good night, Chairman.
If we can come back to order. Good evening again. This is Commissioner Gangarin, and I'll be your fill-in chair for the rest of the evening. I would like to call on case number P23074, which the property address is 42 Hernandez Way. Applicant is New Jersey City University. This is a Section 31 review. Santo, is there any way you can just give a brief explanation regarding Section 31 review?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Yes, we should have Ms. Mazway on the screen. There she is. Good evening, Ms. Mazway. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, it is a Section 31 review. It's what we refer to as a courtesy review. The Section 31 obviously is the numerical title under the Municipal Land Use Law, also known as the MLUL. A Section 31 is a mechanism that allows, in this case, the City University to appear before the board, and the charge of the board is consistency with the master plan. So the project is going to be presented. The applicant will show what the building is, and the focus of the board and the testimony of the applicant's witnesses is how this project is or is not consistent with the master plan of the city. And that will be what the board is to consider in its review, whether or not what's being proposed is or is not consistent with the master plan. In the event that it's not consistent, it's totally appropriate for the board to make recommendations as to how the project would be consistent with the master plan. So with that, Chairman, I think it's best to turn it over to Ms. Mazway and have her witness sworn in and begin the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Mazway. It's all yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. I don't know if he has been elevated to panelist yet, but my witness is Anthony Guzzo. I asked him to raise his hand. He may not have done that yet.
Okay, just promoted him.
Thank you. And while he's getting on screen and getting ready, I'll introduce myself once again, Jennifer Mazaway. I'm a partner with the law firm of Genova Burns, and I'm here this evening on behalf of New Jersey City University, NJCU. And we have been before the board before, although I believe it was a pretty different complement of board members the last time we were here. The university, over the course of the last several years, has undertaken a number of what we call public-private partnerships, or sometimes called P3s. And those have resulted in the development of the university's West Campus. So there's a new, relatively new at this point, several years old, but a residence hall for students, as well as several mixed-use buildings that have been built down at the West Campus, also sometimes known as University Place. In addition, the university has developed and built a number of infrastructure projects in University Place, including University Place Boulevard, Hernandez Way, and Gotham Knights Road. So they basically built out the road infrastructure for the West Campus, and then several projects have been developed over time. The project I'm going to discuss this evening is a supermarket, a ShopRite, and this has also been in development for a number of years. So I'll just give a little bit of history. The property is block 21902.01, lot 1, 42 Hernandez Way, as council mentioned. And it is located at the corner of University Place Boulevard, Hernandez Way, and Carbon Place in the West Campus redevelopment plan area. And this originally came to the board back in 2015 as a different type of project. It was always a supermarket here, but it had a multi-story parking garage proposed, as well as a large-scale fitness center and university tennis courts. Due to some issues related to the chromium remedy in this section of the campus and some concerns raised by the Riverkeeper, the project was completely modified and redesigned to be a standalone supermarket. And at that time, the NJCU returned to the board, and that was in late 2018 with an amended project that included a standalone supermarket with associated parking. Subsequent to that presentation to the board, as the developer was completing its moving from proposed project to actual construction project and construction drawings, it ran into some issues with regard to grading on the site and really entrance and exit for its trucks. And so it embarked on another redesign, and that's what we're here to discuss and show the board this evening. So I have with me Anthony Guzzo. Anthony is a principal at Guzzo Architects. He is the architect for the university's private partner in this public-private partnership known as Crossroads. And he is going to walk the board through really what you saw in 2018 and what you see today, and share some more details specifically about the supermarket and associated retail that we're proposing on the site today. So with that, I'd like to have Mr. Guzzo sworn in, and we can qualify him.
Thank you.
Hi, Anthony. I'll swear you in if you could raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you get tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Sure. Anthony Guzzo, Guzzo. I'm the principal in the firm of Guzzo Architects, LLC.
Thank you.
Mr. Anthony Guzzo, did we qualify you in the past?
I don't believe so. So if you'd like, I can give you just a background.
Just a brief, yes.
Sure. I have a 5-year bachelor's degree of architecture from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey for over 20 years in good standing. I also hold my license in about 7 other states currently. And I have appeared before many boards throughout the state itself and municipalities.
Thank you. Is your license current at this
Yes,
time?
it is.
Thank you. You're qualified. You can start your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, just to kind of pick up where Jennifer left off, we're just really trying to, we created an exhibit, which I guess I will share my screen, just to kind of give the board an overview of the prior submission, which was a November 2018 submission, versus some of the modifications and evolution of the project as we're presenting tonight. So
while you put your screen share up, Anthony, Council, Mr. Olampi, can we just mark this as A1?
Yes, let's mark this as A1, and if there are multiples, we can continue in that sequence.
This should be our only exhibit. It's a 3-page exhibit, so if we can just mark it as A1 and go page by page, if that's appropriate.
Absolutely. And if it has a date, Mr. Guzzo, please give us the date.
Sure, I'm just trying to bring up this document. Give me 1 second.
Then, council, we just ask that you submit it, obviously, to planning staff after the presentation.
Absolutely.
So I'll be referring to an exhibit here we created dated 8/22/2023. There's 3 sheets in this, which would be RN 101, RN 102, and RN 103.
Perfect.
What we were trying to achieve here is really just give an easy side-by-side documentation and explanation of how the progress had taken place since 2018 due to some of those issues that we ran into and Jennifer had mentioned. So the original project is going to be off to your left. I'll be showing a site plan with some multiple rendered images. So that on the left side here, you'll see that the proposed supermarket occupies a good majority of the site here. That was a 75,000 square foot market. which was proposed. Again, we had some issues there. There's an entrance for trucking off of Carbon Place, so we had some difficulties there with the drop in grades. We worked through some of that. So as the evolution of this kind of developed, we have our proposed or our new building layout on the right side here. So you'll see new site plan. This actually indicates the supermarket, but at 48,000 square feet versus the 75,000 square feet. So it does kind of occupy the same location on the site, just at a much smaller scale. And then there is a two-story component, mixed use, which is retail and commercial, which occupies Hernandez and Carbon Place. And you'll see that on the upper right portion of your screen. I think the big advantages to this site, a lot of similarities with driveway entrances and things like that. But I would say that the trucking was really something that we tried to improve on from what we had prior. We were building up screen walls, so that was not a visual off of Carbon Place and off of 440. So what we tried to do here was kind of tuck that loading area. We have 6 loading docks that are tucked in this little horseshoe location, which is in between the 2 buildings here. And that actually provides a setback off of Carbon Place for the loading and pretty substantial screening from that view. We still have a component which would show in the renderings, which is kind of a screen wall, which is located here from 440, which is at a much lower elevation. So the sight lines are very minimal as you view the building and view this area. So you'll see that off to the left is Route 440, and University Place is located at the lower portion of your screen, which is our main frontage of our building off of University Place. Hernandez Way is located on the right side here, and Carbon Place is located towards the top of the screen. So what I'd like to do is walk you through the rendered elevations right now, just to kind of give you a side-by-side comparison and how the project itself developed from the 2008 submittal. This is going to be our drawing RN 102, and let me see if I could just increase this a little bit. And basically, again, off to the left side are our 2008 submission, to the right side is
2018.
I'm sorry, 2018, and to the right side is our current submission. You'll see that off to the left side on the old submission, there was a very large tower element that really had handled signage and identification and things like that. We felt that was a little bit much, and we really wanted to kind of scale that down. We felt that visual was so high up and a little bit illegible. So what we did is we really created more building facade signage, which you'll see on the right side. These are very similar images and rendered images from the same perspective. And you'll see we incorporated all of that signage, I think at a much better scale here. We included the tower signage plus some of the ShopRite signage on that corner facade element, which is on the right. And again, that visual is standing from the corner of University and 440 looking up towards the building. So the grade itself rises up and you'll start to see that signage and then the frontage of the building itself. We really used the original architecture here, just kind of really modified it and scaled it down. We're looking at a combination of the red panels here with a varied gray insert, but we also use some different materials here, which some metal work or polished or brushed aluminum work. There's some louvers here. There's a large facade, which I will kind of show you a little bit better on the other view from Hernandez, which is below the screen. So the second group of images here, you'll see that porch or loggia section with a large glass facade that's indicating ShopRite signage there is kind of our main facade, our front facade, giving us a lot of light, giving us a lot of exposure to Hernandez. You'll see on the left that the tower element is in there, and you'll see the size and scale of that. Our proposed now is on the right-hand side where we kept all of that and we eliminated the tower, but we do have a raised corner facade element that really kind of tries to take the place of that large tower with a little bit more visual signage. If you're looking at this element, you'll see that there's some louvers and off to a splayed cornered side. This is actually the catty-cornered entrance, which is going to be on Hernandez and University. The entry comes in, due to the difficult grading here, we are going to be up almost about 3 feet above the sidewalk level there. So we're going to come into an interior lobby and then kind of get our way up to via stairs and some ramping up to the main store level. So we are elevated throughout the whole site. But from a grading standpoint, this is actually the highest elevation point, which is here. And then our proposed finished floor is going to be 3 foot above that. From an architectural standpoint, we really tried to carry some of those key elements through to indicate more of an entry point where we wrapped around the metal louvers above the canopy entrance. We have some coverage there for pedestrians. We have some ShopRite signage, and some of that is accented by the red metal panels there to kind of set off that entry. I'm going to move down to our sheet RN 103. And just so you can see that. And again, in a similar fashion, the 2018 submittal is on the left. Our proposed is on the right, very similar images. This image here is Hernandez and Carbon. So what we're looking to do here is as the building originally came down through here, you'll see it's just a larger mass of a building. So what the reduction in square footage and scale, we inserted this two-story commercial building, which fits alongside of the market. We thought that that was I think a big improvement here because it really brought down this scale, this urban scale that we have going on here, where the ShopRite still stands as a strong element, but also this new building that's going to be adjacent to it, which has a mix of retail on the first floor and commercial office space on the second, really kind of lowers that scale and breaks up the proportion along the street frontage. So you'll see there's off to the right, there's a couple of smaller elements with storefronts here. And then you'll see there's more retail storefront that continues down Carbon Place, accented, of course, by some office space and some windows above. Again, further detailed in the future. But, again, just to really kind of start breaking up the mass of the market here and dealing with proportion and space a little bit better. Below that, our last two images here, you'll see off to the left, that's our view from 440 and Carbon Place, kind of a little bit higher view looking at what we had previously. And you'll see that there's accented by this long red band is vertical screening that was actually installed to hide a lot of the trucking that was going on back here. We had 6 loading docks, but it was, again, right on Carbon Place. We had some very difficult times trying to get maneuvering to happen and grading for proper loading here. So you'll see on the right side, we changed that up. You'll see the back of the retail commercial building. We still kept the same drive access coming in, but we kind of tucked the loading around here. So you have a very hidden visual here of the trucks in the loading docks with the maneuverability space out here. But once they enter in and they do their backup, they are going to be tucked in and not visible from Carbon Place. We understand that there will be some visual, even though the grade and the visual eye level is lower along 440. So that's why you'll see this small red piece, which is going to be a built-up screening system, just in case you might grab a glimpse of some of that trucking pulling in. But once it's back and it's docked in, you won't have any visuals from down at that lower 440. And again, being screened by this building tucked along Carbon Place. So we thought that that was a major improvement that really helped you know, kind of deal with that trucking, both from a visual standpoint and maneuverability standpoint. So I think that's a general overview of everything that, you know, we were presenting and where we were in 2018 and where we are now. And like I said, it's more of an evolution of the project and refining of that. And I think that the advantages here are smaller scale that fits in very well in an urban setting. But also has a lot of different components to it that's going to kind of lend to the fabric of the area and kind of make this project even stronger.
Thanks, Anthony. Can you stop sharing for a minute?
Sure.
And we can always bring it back if members have questions. That concludes my presentation with Mr. Guzzo. We are certainly available, both Mr. Guzzo, myself, and then if there are others that the board needs to hear from. This project has always been important to the university, and the university understands and knows how important this project is to the community. So I know President Acevo has been very hard at work to try to move this project. Our private developer that whom the university is partnering with has been diligent in trying to you know, go through this redesign and get it to a point where we think this project can fit really nicely on this space. But we're here to answer any questions that you may have, and of course, if there are questions that we can't answer, I do have others available. So
Thank you. Thank you. Any board comments at this time?
Or so good.
So good? Okay. Just one quick for the record, David Cruz is the, Commissioner David Cruz is the acting vice chair for the remainder of the meeting as well. So if there's no other board comments at this time, I would like to open for public comments. Anyone from the public that would like to speak on this agenda item, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. Anyone from the public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I move to close the public portion of this meeting.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, would you like to wrap up, or you already did your closing statement there?
I would just like to quickly note that we did receive a planning consistency memo from the board's planners as well. Mallory Clark was our planner for this application. So I do believe that the board is well within their purview to find that this project is certainly consistent with the master plan and with the West Campus redevelopment plan. And we hope that you will do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mallory, would you like to provide some of your comments?
I'm covering for
You're
Mallory.
covering for Mallory. Thank you, Karen.
Well, Council Mazaway has addressed the only comments that planning staff had, which were to have them on the record agree to the conditions in the staff memo. Planning staff recommends a favorable a vote to council, and that concludes planning staff comments.
Thank you. I would like to entertain a motion.
Second.
Now I'd like to entertain a motion.
I second it.
Someone has to make a motion to approve.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for approval that this application meets the goals and objectives of the city master plan.
Okay, on a motion to approve, Acting Vice Chair Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai, one more time. Commissioner Dr. Desai, your audio didn't come through. Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, I heard that. Okay, Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Gongadin.
I just want to say this supermarket is very, very much needed on the south side of the city. I'm very excited to see the completion and when I can start going shopping there. I'm a couple blocks away. Big eye for me.
Okay, so planning board has voted in favor of a favorable review and approving with no conditions on the section 31 review.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
So Cameron, for the record, it's that the board recommends that and finds that the application is consistent with the master plan.
Okay. The board voted in favor that this project is consistent with the master plan with staff memo comments.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
At this time, I would like to call on case P 2023-0001. The address is 70 Sip Avenue. Applicant is Hudson County Community College. This is a section 31 review as well.
Promoted John Curley. Mr. Curley, you're on.
Are you there, Mr. Curley? Perhaps Mr. Curley is away from the screen. Ah, there he is.
I would ask that Ralph Rosenberg be promoted. He is the only witness who will testify.
Promoted Ralph.
Good evening, council.
I haven't seen Ralph. Is he?
It takes a minute.
Okay. There, fine. Good evening. My
Good evening,
name is-
council. You can start your presentation.
Thank you very much. My name is John J. Curley, Curley. I am with the law firm of Connell Foley, and I'm representing the Hudson County Community College. This is a Section 31 matter, which is a referral to the planning board by the college in this instance in order to assess a proposed project that the college is pursuing. This is a wayfinding project, meaning that signage and buildings will be considered together in order to provide a feeling of a campus in the Journal Square area of Jersey City. Rather than have me explain the principles for that, I would ask Mr. Rosenberg to testify as to, first of all, his qualifications, secondly, to describe the project, and lastly, to explain the goals and objectives of the project and how he expects to reach them. Mr. Rosenberg.
Hi, Ralph. I'll swear you in before you go.
Yes,
Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Yes, Ralph Rosenberg, Enberg.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Rosenberg. Did
Good
we
evening.
qualify you in the past?
Yes, you have.
Thank you. Is your license still current?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. You may start your presentation.
Thank you. Give it a second. Is it up on the screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Sometimes it takes a while. Thank you, Mr. Curley. Some of the backstory about why we are here tonight. Journal Square, and especially the built environment, Hudson County Community College, has drastically changed its profile in Jersey City. The buildings that currently exist for Hudson County Community College, they are being more compressed. We are losing property. We are solidifying and sort of making a more economical shift to making a more consolidated campus. That being said, the architecture of when these buildings came out of the ground for Journal Square is a different environment than what's going on in the square today. It's become much more modernized, much more denser, the heights, the glass, etc. And the fear we have, speaking for the college, is we fear we're going to be lost in the shadows of all of this dense development. So what do? One, we can't rebuild, we can't take down the buildings. Like I said, we are consolidating some of the properties. And we're here before you to really find a way of making the presence on the square back to the importance it used to have. And that means a sign program, a wayfinding sign program, graphics, lighting, exciting elements to add to the buildings to really attract and be responsive for the young users of the building, you know, the 19 and the 20-year-olds and maybe even 18-year-olds. So that's why we're here. Now, when we say consolidating, we are losing some properties on Sip Avenue, like we all know. And then from this map, you know, the new tower comes in just south of the existing library and student center on Sip Avenue. Point of orientation, the library and the student center just north of the new academic building is really called the Central Campus. To the west is the Culinary Arts Plaza, which is the Western Campus, and then to the south, which is the STEM Center and Health Sciences Building, is the South Campus. And like mentioned, they really do exist when we felt the need to be traditional in the square was the mission statement. Now, obviously, like we said, things are changing. We want to sort of keep up with the changing streetscape of Journal Square. So what does all that mean? Well, it means we're proposing wall signs. The wall signs do not meet the current square foot dictates of the zoning code. There are 6 wall signs on 5 buildings, and there are 4 marquee signs, which are the signs projecting out of the building with LED 2-sided panels, which you feel has precedent for Jersey City and Journal Square. The wall signs, there were 4 identical signs that come in at about 124 square feet, and it's measured really by taking the outermost rectangle, 35.6 by 3'5". And it's designed in such a way that we've come up with a system of providing a raceway, a metal simulated I-beam that will be laser cut to illuminate Hudson County Community College in the traditional green color of the campus. Above that are pin-leaded floating letters that are internally illuminated in white LEDs. And on the bottom of that raceway would be the opportunity, not yet finalized, some potential saying and donor recognition for the buildings. So clearly that's a lot of information to put on a sign, but I think we've done it successfully with some important aesthetics excitement and a method of making each one of the different architecture styles readily receive this sort of industrial I-beam anchor to float the various sign informations above. Like I said, there were 6 wall signs. They averaged from 124 to the average size of 35.6. The smallest one replacing the Gabet Library sign over one of the arches on the library. And then the larger one on top of the 4 arches across from the current administration building for the college is this larger one at about 203 square feet. It's about 58 feet long. The 4 marquee signs come in at about 3 feet by 12 feet, and they come off of the buildings by steel anchors bolted into the existing steel frame of the buildings. It's going to get a little complicated, but nothing Journal Square has not seen before. That comes in about 36 square feet each. Those are the building sign programs, and we'll go into where they are located throughout the square. Now, the West Campus, the Culinary Arts Plaza, is a little bit more intricate than just proposing wall signs. The Culinary Arts Plaza, that triangle piece of property that's fenced in, that is controlled and owned by the college with its continuous fencing, we're proposing a ribbon. And the idea came from the St. Peter's big monitor on Kennedy Boulevard. It's we call it the ribbon because it's the large digital 2-foot sign that comes off the ground about 12 feet tall. And this green graphic does represent one continuous software controlled LED panel. Now, what is presented and proposed on this panel, I think is still in conversations with, I think, the city and with the college. But if you could imagine the small rendering to the right, what this view is coming down SIP and then Newkirk, this little green ribbon would be illuminated. Sometimes it will be static. Sometimes we'll have announcements, graduation, congratulations, etc., but non-commercial in its intent. And then from the quick right side, you could see the proposal of where those wall signs go on top of the arch. And the culinary building really has no signage to speak of as of today, except for the crest above and a big granite monument sign on the corner. Then you can see where we are placing this marquee sign, 2-sided LED panel, about 36 square feet, like mentioned. And then some of the existing photographs of some of that demolition work that we are proposing really is taking the existing planters in the square and really going in between the block and the plants, dropping in some steel columns, and then connecting those with sort of an arced ribbon of painted steel, again with that industrial look. And then inside of the web of that, we are proposing these 2-foot LED panels. That's the Culinary Plaza West Campus. To move along the campus, the Culinary Arts Building, and you can see as the scale of this large building, we are proposing 2-foot letters, but the scale of this building really could absorb and take, without being overpowering, the Culinary Arts Center, Hudson County Community College on the Raceway, and some potential sign donor recognition below that. On the right side of this main entranceway is one of the 4 marquees we are proposing, HCC stacked. Again, it could be static, it could be moving, it could be ever changing. You know, if it's a 25-year expected life cycle, I'm sure the graphics would change every so often. Moving along on the campus, the STEM Center, it's probably one of the more modern buildings the college has on the square, but again, far from being what's being built now coming out of the ground. 65, 55-story glass mixed-use buildings. And behind this on Bergen Avenue is the Kanduri Health Sciences Nursing School, which is going to take one of the wall signs and one of the marquees, as well as turning the corner on Academy, 1 wall sign and 1 marquee. And this is some quick little photo montages of what those new proposals will look like. the marquee, the wall sign, the marquee, and then the wall sign on Bergen. Again, we paid careful attention to not overpowering the pedestrian on the street, not overpowering the sidewalk, but keeping in scale with the building. And just to make the buildings pop a little bit, because the architecture is a little bit, on the back burner of the excitement of Journal Square. And last but not least, a library building, which is also connected to the newly renovated Student Center off of Sip Avenue. The large sign of about 203 square feet that does say Hudson County Community College. Over the 4 arches, we are replacing the one dedicated sign for the Gaber Library with a similar kind of raceway and internal lit letters. And then the new Student Center would have the similar sign of that 124 Student Center, again, above the Hudson County Community College Raceway. So that, again, 10 signs total, 6 wall signs, 4 marquees. That's sort of the strategy and the reason why we think it's important to be before you tonight. That's all I have, Mr. Curley.
Did you get comments from the planning?
Yes,
division?
I
Did you
had some comments from Mr. De Silva. I think one of the big comments was why, what I believe is 20 square feet, why the 20 square feet is not appropriate for us. And I think throughout these slides, I've demonstrated it's not. We're not looking for a precedent-setting example. We think the college, as a user of the properties in Journal Square, really needs to stand out among itself. It's an important amenity for the city, for the state. It's not a retailer. It's not a business. We're not selling goods. So I think it needs to be beyond the standards of a commercial retail business operation. There were some comments about making sure the signage was structurally secured. I think that goes without saying. It goes before the building department once the details and construction documents are done. I'm sure that will not be an issue, the safety of the structures, nor the life expectancy of the electronics behind the signs. We have some very reputable sign manufacturers looking at this, so I'm sure that will not be an issue as well. Trying to go down my list.
Mr. Rosenberg, in your opinion, is the proposed lighting and design consistent with the master plan?
Yes, it is.
Will it advance the goals of the master plan?
Yes, it will enhance the pedestrian life. It'll enhance the placemaking, the vibrancy of the city. And those, I think, are 2 very important underlying intents of the redesigned master plan, to make a better environment, a better city for all of the users, day and night.
All right, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rosenberg. I would like to ask the board if they have any questions.
Should I stop sharing, you think?
Yes, you can, please. Any questions from the board?
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to open for public comments. Anyone from the public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I move to close the public portion of this meeting, of this application.
I second it.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, you have any closing statement at this time?
No.
Okay, then I would like to ask the planner, Matthew De Silva, if you would like to comment or share your staff comments.
Certainly, I didn't submit a written memo for this project, but I just wanted to state for the record that both the master plan and the Journal Square 2060 redevelopment plan envision the Journal Square region as the city's central business district and a major activity center. And the institutional and educational role that Hudson County Community College plays is in line with that. And certainly in a central business district, larger, more prominent signage is appropriate for anchor institutions and consistent with master plan, in my professional opinion.
Thank you. I would like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve case P 2023-0001 for a section 31 review.
Second it.
I second it.
Thank you. Roll call.
Acting Vice Chair Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Gongadin.
I agree. These are consistent with the master plan, the goals and the objectives.
Motion carries. All in favor.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Good night. At this time, I would like to call on case P23-005. The address is 749 West Side Avenue. It's a conditional use. The applicant is White Lotus Dispensary LLC.
Voting Mr. Rosenberg.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Rosenberg.
Zachary Rosenberg from Bressler, Amory and Ross. My client is White Lotus Dispensary. This is an application for conditional use approval in connection with a Class 5 cannabis retail dispensary. The location of the proposed dispensary is 749 West Side Avenue. That's lot 14, block 16102 in Ward B. My client received approval from the CCB, Cannabis Control Board in Jersey City, on February 27th of this year. And we are now seeking conditional use, as I stated. Testifying for the board this evening will be David Lawrence, my client's architect.
So Madam Chair, I believe we had opened this application at the prior meeting, but council's witness was not available. I think there was an emergency at that point in time. So with that, we carried it to this evening. But for purposes of the record, I am receiving the affidavit of publication proof of mailing. And it does appear to be in order. So I just want to make sure you mark it as A1 for the record.
Thank you, Santo.
Thank you, Council.
Mr. Rosenberg, can you give me your architect's name again? Because I don't see them. What?
David.
Oh, they raised, okay, they raised their hand. That's why.
There he is. Oh, and I should mention the plans, the architectural plans that David prepared that are in the portal contain these revision clouds that detailed some of the changes that were made since the prior plans were submitted. Those clouds have now been removed. And that's the only difference between the plans that David is going to present tonight and the plans that are in the portal. So if necessary, we can mark the plans that are being presented tonight as Exhibit A1.
Let's just mark them as A2. We just marked the notice as A1, but let's mark them as A2 since there is technically a change, but I appreciate the notation for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, David Lawrence. Can we have you sworn in?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
David Lawrence, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Mr. Lawrence, good evening. Did we qualify you in the past?
You have not.
Okay, you want to give us a brief qualification briefly?
Sure. Again, my name is David Lawrence. I have a professional bachelor's degree as well as a post-professional master's degree from NJIT. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey as well as 3 other states, and I've been working in the industry for 12 years.
Thank you. Is your license current?
It is.
Thank you. You can start your presentation.
Thank you very much. So as previously mentioned, this application is for a conditional use for a Class 5 micro business cannabis dispensary. It is located at 749 West Side Avenue in the neighborhood commercial zone, where we are allowed to have a use of this type. The only real change that's going to be happening on the exterior of the building is new signage, some window tinting and stenciling that's going on the storefront glass. All of the doors and the storefront structure is staying as is. The zoning, again, nothing besides that is changing on the exterior besides a prefabricated shed that is going to be placed in the backyard of the building. Besides that, there are no changes to the setbacks or any of that, any of those related issues. The previous use was a video store, which was a mercantile use, and the new use that's going in is also a mercantile use, so we won't have any change of use. The total gross square footage is 1,540 square feet. It takes up most of the ground floor of the building, and the only other item on the ground floor is an entrance for the residential units above. And the total amount of occupants that we will be having in the store based on square footage is 24.
Council, I don't know if we're going to share the rendering, but none of us can see the rendering.
David, are you able to share your screen?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was. My apologies.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
That's great. Thank you.
Again, my apologies for that, but this is the building I was speaking of. This is the private entrance that is remaining, and these are the storefront areas that will have minor changes, and there will be new signage up above. Here is the proposed elevation. The signage is within the allowable height. It's within the allowable signage area, and the lettering is 1 foot in height, which is the maximum allowable height of signage lettering. We will also have three downlights above the signage that will light the signage, the facade, and part of the sidewalk below. The existing facade materials are beige brick and a green solid surface area around the residential entry, and there is also some cast stone in the sign band, and none of those items will be changing. Here we have the public entry and exit door, and here we have the employee entry and exit door. And these 2 doors are in place, and the locations are not changing. The storefront glazing will receive frosted window film, and all other items are to remain. Here we have the floor plan. As mentioned, this is the public entrance. The public will enter through here. They will wait if they have to. They will provide their ID to a security guard or a receptionist standing here. They'll be buzzed to enter the main space. There will be standing kiosks in the front area as well as the rear. There will be a cashier area with 3 points of sale, an ADA bathroom, some display cases, and that is all of the front of house areas. The other side of the building will house the back of house areas, and those will consist of a secure storage with a high strength door, a work area, an order fulfillment area between the employee area and the storage, an employee lounge, a second bathroom, which is existing to remain, and an office for management and an IT closet. Here we have the reflected ceiling plan. There's just generic recessed LED light fixtures going in most of the front of house areas. And we will have LED linear lighting in the back of house areas. And unless there are any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, David. I don't have any further questions. So we could open it up to the board.
Thank you. Would you like to stop the screen sharing?
Yes.
I would like to open up for the board. Any board comments? No?
Nope.
Then I would like to move on to public comments. I would like to open for public comments.
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I motion to close the public portion of this application.
I second it.
Thank you. Public comments is closed. Council, any closing remarks or comments?
Just wanted to thank the board for considering our application. I know we were carried a few times. So thanks for sticking with us. And we are looking forward to getting through the process, getting approved by the CRC at the state level, and opening up and becoming a big part of the community.
Thank you. Our planner here is Francisco.
Yes.
Any comments, Francisco, that you would like to put for the record?
Yeah, so I did want to just read the recommended conditions for the record. So the first condition is all materials and color selection shall be shown on the final plan. No changes to the facade and site design, including materials, as well as any changes that may be required by the Office of Construction Code shall be permitted without consultation with and by planning staff. 2, all testimony given by the applicant and their witnesses in accordance with this application shall be binding. 3, the architect of record shall provide an affidavit confirming that the development is built in accordance with the approved plans prior to the issuance of the full certificate of occupancy. Number 4, the memorialized resolution shall be recorded with the office of the county registrar and made part of the deed. In addition, documentation of the same shall be submitted to the Division of City Planning prior to the application for construction permits. And number 5, applicant shall comply with all conditions of approval set forth on the record by the planning board and or the Division of City Planning staff. And with that said, staff does recommend approval.
Thank you, Francisco. Mr. Rosenberg, are you in agreement with those conditions?
Yes, we're in agreement with all the conditions stated.
Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P23-005 for conditional use with all of planning staff.
Second it.
Can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Cruz,
Yes.
Commissioner Spinato,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner,
Aye.
and Madam Chair Gangadin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I would like to call case number 15, case P23-090. Property address is 179 Monticello Avenue, applicant Wilkinson Property Holding LLC. The attorney, Stephen Joseph.
Promoted Stephen Joseph.
Good evening, everybody.
evening.
Stephen Joseph for the applicant here. William Weckerman is our architect this evening. We could get him promoted. While that is happening, this is a minor site plan only, so it's not a notice application. 178 Monticello is located in Zone 1 of the Jackson Hill redevelopment plan. What we're proposing this evening is a 4-story, 8 dwelling unit building with ground floor commercial space, no parking. In order to accomplish this, we only require minor site plan approval. There are no variances associated with this application whatsoever. We'll get Will sworn in and walk through the plans. I do want to mention, before we start walking through the plans, that we have had some conversations and meetings with the Jackson Hill Special Improvement District. They made some suggestions for altering the 2 facades of the building. It's a corner lot. Will point those out in the plans when we get there, and we will enter those 2 sheets as an exhibit. They're minor changes to the exterior elevations. Let's get Will sworn in. I see him. There he is.
I will swear you in.
Aye, sure.
Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
sure. It's William Weckenman, last name spelled Weckenmann.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Weckerman. Did we qualify you in the past?
Yes,
Okay, is your license still current?
yes, it is.
Thank you. You can start your presentation. You're qualified.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for your time this evening, as always. As Stephen mentioned, the project is located at 178 Monticello Avenue. It's located on the eastern side of Monticello Avenue. There is an existing 2- and 3-story building that's currently on the site, which will be demolished. As you can see here from the site photos, there are some structural issues with the building. It's leaning fairly substantially towards the corner. So the plan is to remove this building and construct a new building on site. It is a small lot. It's a 25 by 75 lot. And we're proposing a building with 100% lot coverage. As Stephen mentioned, this is a permitted. And just looking at the site plan here, we are proposing new sidewalking curbing along Monticello Avenue and Gardner Avenue for the full length of the property. There are utilities in the sidewalk of Monticello Avenue. So we're only proposing 2 street trees further down Gardner Avenue, which are shown here, these 2 circles. The building itself is a 4-story building. We have a green roof towards the front corner of the building and another green roof towards the rear corner with an occupied roof deck in the center of the building. We're proposing a total of 8 dwelling units and 1 commercial space for the building, which I'll go through in a minute. So starting with the basement level, we are proposing a full basement for this building. The front half would be utilized by the first floor commercial tenant as storage space. We do have the back part of the building will be for the residents. We're proposing a trash room, utilities, bike storage, and then a amenity space in the basement. Moving on for the first floor, we have a commercial tenant at the corner. We also have a ground floor dwelling unit towards the center of the plan, which is a 1-bedroom unit. And then we have a small residential entry lobby further towards the rear property line. The second floor, the third and fourth floor are the same floor plan. The second floor is a little bit different. We are proposing 3 units on the second floor. We have a nice large 1-bedroom towards the front of the building, and then 2 studios towards the rear. The third and fourth floor, as I mentioned, are identical. We're proposing a 2-bedroom unit towards the front of the building and a 1-bedroom unit towards the rear. As I mentioned previously on the site plan, we are proposing an occupied roof deck with a green roof space. And then we also have condensing units for the apartments on the roof. The parapet, which you'll see in elevation, is high enough where none of this equipment will be visible from the street. I'd like to, this sheet has been updated since our initial submission, so I'd like to enter this as an exhibit.
Yeah, so it's sheet A102, and Will, it's also sheet A103, right?
A102 and A103, correct.
So these are this is the front and the side elevation, and there are some changes on this which will explain. I believe this is A1 since we don't have notices.
It is, Mr. Joseph, and if we could just identify the revision date on the plan, if there is one.
Sure, it's today's date, August 22nd.
Thank you.
Sure.
And like I was saying earlier, we have been in communication with Jackson Hill Special Improvement District. We did have communications and meetings with them as recently as last night, actually. And some of the suggestions about the design were incorporated, but obviously not 10 days prior to the hearing.
That's it. Thanks, Steve. Yep. So the changes were fairly minimal, but we think we got some great feedback yesterday, and we think that the comments are a big improvement to the project. So the building is fairly simple. Proportionally, it's sort of reflective of a traditional brownstone building that you would find on a 25 by 100 lot. So we have a simple red brick facade. Brick is the primary material. Then we have large rectangular windows over a ground floor glass and aluminum storefront. The change that we did make to the building is we added a cornice to the building, which we feel gives a little bit more interest and character, and also blends in a little bit better with some of the adjacent buildings. The rear elevation was unchanged. It's fairly simple. It's right on the property line, so we're simply proposing a stucco as a primary material with the brick turning the corner as it faces Gardner Avenue. Design carries over to the south elevation. The storefront wraps the corner. We also are using aluminum panels and large windows for the ground floor apartment. And then we have the entry lobby with again, additional glass and aluminum storefronts towards the right-hand side. Again, the cornice was added, and then we also, it doesn't read very clearly, but we are also proposing a decorative brick pattern for this large section of the facade. Again, this was a comment that came up yesterday, and we feel it adds a little bit more interest to an otherwise flat area of the facade. Finally, we have the north elevation. This is also right on the property line and it abuts the neighbor. So we're proposing simple vinyl siding in the areas that are exposed on this elevation. Moving on, we have our typical material sheet. As I mentioned, we are proposing a red brick as the primary material. We chose a color that was reflective of some of the other historic buildings on Monticello Avenue, so we think it ties in nicely. We also have the aluminum panels that I mentioned, as well as details for the storefront, stucco, and the vinyl siding. Finally, we have a conceptual rendering of the project. Again, this was not updated. We didn't have time before tonight's meeting to update this view. So this is a little bit outdated, but it gives you a general feel for the project. And then also we have our standard shadow study as the last page in our presentation. So thank you again. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any board comments? Any board comments?
No.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open for public comments.
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I motion to close this portion of the application.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, would you want to give us a closing statement or any comments?
Fairly simple project, no variances. We would agree to all the standard conditions in the staff report.
Thank you. Our planner, Mallory, is Mallory on tonight, or Cam, are you taking over?
Yeah, I'm covering.
Oh,
it.
okay. You want to give us your comments?
Thank you, Mr. Joseph, for agreeing to the staff memo dated July 25th of this year. That report covers all of the details of staff comments, and planning staff has no further comments other than we recommend approval.
Thank you, Cam. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair, I just make sure I'm reading the right case. Okay, Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P 3090 for minor site approval.
Second it.
Okay, on a motion to approve, acting Vice Chair Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Yeah, I think it's a great improvement, and I think it's going to give a nice boost to the area. Good job. I vote aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
and acting Chair Gangadin.
Aye.
Motion carries all in favor with conditions.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Have a good evening.
You too. At this time, I would like to call in case P 23077. Address is 3523 John F. Kennedy Boulevard. The applicant is Benedict Supply LLC. The attorney is Joseph Paparo. Is this for conditional use?
Promoted Mr. Paparo.
Good evening,
Mr.
Commissioners.
Paparo.
Good evening. Joe Paparo from Porzio, Bromberg and Newman on behalf of Benedict Supply LLC. Commissioners, this is a conditional use application for a cannabis retail business located at 3523 John F. Kennedy Boulevard. That's block 2005, lot 5 on the city tax maps. This property is located in the RC-2 zone where
cannabis retail businesses are conditionally permitted. We are here this evening for conditional use approval. Just as a brief background, Benedict Supply LLC has received a conditional license from the state of New Jersey CRC, which would be converted to an annual license as part of this project. The applicant has also secured a resolution of approval from the Jersey City CCB from dated February 27th, 2023. We're here this evening for conditional use to advance this project. For witnesses this evening, I have the project architect, Ronald Elkins.
Okay.
Council, just a little housekeeping. I received your affidavit of publication proof of mailing with respect to the application at 3523 Kennedy Boulevard. It does appear to be in order. We're going to mark that as A1 for purposes of the record. And Council, you heard the testimony of the prior application, very similar conditional use for the cannabis retailer. You've got the CCB recommendation, as you've noted, as well as the state license. So if we could just go through the architecturals, I think that will be sufficient for the board.
Thank you, Mr.
Sandra.
Lampe. Thank you very much. A1 is the notification. Ron, are you on?
I am, yes.
All right, and I'll swear you in, Ron, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
Ronald Elkins, ELKINS.
Thank you.
Ronald, did we qualify you in the past?
You have, yes. It's been a month or two since I've been on a hearing, but I've presented several times before.
Oh, okay, is your license still current?
It is.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Excellent. I will share my screen. Okay. So I believe my screen is sharing. Please let me know if it's not. But
It is, we can see it.
oh, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, as Mr. Paparo mentioned, this is a application for a cannabis dispensary at 3523 John F. Kennedy Boulevard, Lot 5 of Block 2005. It is an existing ground floor retail space, currently being used as had been most recently used as a doctor's office. And it's in the RC2 zone. It's a total of just under 900 square feet. It's about 894 square feet as I've measured it. It's within it's the ground floor of a 3-story building, mixed use. The upper 2 floors are residential. There are no parking spaces required for this use, or either vehicle or bicycle spaces. The existing space, the scope consists of redesigning the interior as a cannabis dispensary, as well as applying a new facade for the tenant's use. The existing facade has basically been removed and it's currently unfinished, which you'll see in just a moment. And we're hoping to make that an improvement. Since the plans were initially submitted, there has been one minor change just to follow up with review comments, as well as a minor design change that we had submitted to Mr. Espinoza recently. Those changes in the plan are specifically in terms of, I will zoom in here, specifically in terms of the vault and fulfillment rooms. This is how the plans were initially submitted. As you can see, there's really no space for employee staff, break room, or anything else. So basically, we had combined the vault and the fulfillment spaces into one room, with the remaining spaces being left over for a small break space. So this is the same floor plan, essentially with the larger vault. And also there has been an increase in size of the point of sale counter. So instead of 2 cash registers, we're hoping to get 5, which would increase the efficiency of the customer flow to speed up the turnover.
Ron, before you continue, Mr. Lampe, can we mark these as Exhibit A2 since there was those 2 minor changes?
Thank you, counsel. And if we could just get the revision date.
The revision date is 8/21.
Thank you.
So there is one entrance to the space.
The rear entrance, actually, the site actually slopes away from the front of the building. So the rear is actually over 7 to 8 feet elevated from the grade, whereas the front is basically on grade. So all deliveries, all customer entrance, employee entrance will all be from the front entrance here off of Kennedy Boulevard. Customers, I'll zoom in. Typical customer flow is customers will come in, get their ID checked. Once they're qualified to be within the space, shop, pick up their orders and leave from the same space. There'll be guards stationed throughout the retail space, as well as all of the doors will have electronic security locks, as well as a number of security cameras throughout the space, whether they're fixed cameras, 180-degree or 360-degree cameras. There will be full coverage on video surveillance within the space. Waste, trash, and recycling will actually be kept securely outside under the rear fire escape space within a new enclosed metal fence. That'll be kept secure on all sides and then only removed at the time of scheduled waste pickup. Odor mitigation will be maintained through charcoal filters on any exhaust point coming from the space. And all cannabis products will be stored at the vault, which has increased security within the walls. The walls will be basically constructed of metal studs with high impact drywall, as well as a proprietary security mesh between the drywall layers. And
Ron,
then
yeah, thank you. I was just going to say, if you could go to the exterior modifications. Thank you, Ron.
No problem. So as you can see from the two photos in the middle left of the page, this is how the space looked back in March of this year. It's my understanding it hasn't really changed. So as you can see from the rendering here, we're proposing to basically provide a transitional facade, since this is a neighborhood that is between commercial, small scale residential. We wanted something that to the scale of the neighborhood. All of the windows are existing to remain. However, they will have translucent and opaque security film applied to them, so there will be no visual access from the sidewalk into the dispensary. And let me zoom in on the two-dimensional facades. So the signage that's proposed has been in keeping with the maximum square footage allowed, or below the maximum square footage allowed for the zone. So we're proposing a 12'2" by 10" main sign on the front, as well as smaller graphics on the windows. And then this is the side elevation on Bleecker Street. And from this facade, you can see how the slope of the grade, is pretty dramatic to the rear of the building, as well as the existing fire escape, and then the proposed trash enclosure below. We are proposing 6 new decorative gooseneck light fixtures around the facade of the building, mainly to provide additional lighting for security, as well as identification for the building. And there are a few security lights being added to the side of the building as well. The colors are basically a dark slate gray, kind of almost a bluish color, as well as dark gray and a brushed brass metal finish for the lights and the signage. And unless there are any questions, I think that concludes my presentation.
Any questions from the board? If you could stop your screen sharing, please. Any questions? No? Okay, at this time, I'll open up for public comments.
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak, I motion to close up. There is a person. Otto Brody.
Promoted Ricardo Bobbin.
And Ricardo, if you're there, you can unmute, turn your video on.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I see
Uh,
you and I hear you. I just need to swear you in before you speak. If you could raise your right hand.
Sure.
You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name and give us your home address, please?
Sure, it's Ricardo Bobby, B-O-B-E, 166 Columbia Avenue, Jersey City, of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Bobby, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, well, I'm the president of the Western Slope Neighborhood Association. Sarah, the proposed owner, she contacted us. She wanted to meet with the community. She gave us a detailed presentation of what she wanted to, of the neighborhood, she addressed our concerns, security, the traffic. And for me, she seemed sincere. She actually even attended one of our Ward D captain's meetings. She really wants to get to know the neighborhood and get to know the residents. And I have a number, and she tells me if I have any problems, I could contact her directly. And I sincerely believe she should be approved. I think she's a good community member for Jersey City.
Thank you.
How you doing, Richard?
Anyone else from the public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one else from the public wishing to speak, I motion to close this portion of this application.
I second it.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, do you have any closing statement or comments?
I think the city planner, Mr. Espinoza, and I'd like to defer to him before I go. Chair.
Okay. Francisco, do you mind?
Yeah, so there are just 2 comments that I did want to make before I read the conditions into the record. So one, this location is greater than 200 feet from any school. The second thing is, at this time, city planning does not have a concurrent class 5 retailer application for a location in this area. And then lastly, I do want to read the conditions into the record, since I did not provide the applicant with a staff report. So the first one is all materials and color selection shall be shown on the final plan. No change to the facade and site design, including materials, as well as any changes that may be required by the Office of Construction Code, shall be permitted without consultation with and approval by planning staff. The second one is all testimony given by the applicant and their expert witness in accordance with this application shall be binding. The third, architect of record shall provide an affidavit confirming that the development is built in accordance with the approved plans prior to the issuance of the first certificate, of the first certificate of occupancy. Fourth, the memorialized resolution shall be recorded with the office of the county registrar and made part of the deed. In addition, documentation of the same shall be submitted to the Division of City Planning prior to application for construction permits. And lastly, the applicant shall comply with all conditions of approval set forward on the record by the planning board and or Division of City Planning staff. And that's it for me.
Council, are you in agreement with the staff conditions?
We are in agreement. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P23-077 for conditional use with planning staff conditions.
I second it.
On a motion to approve, Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
I just want to commend the attorney for getting the community on board and getting them to come out and to support this. I vote aye.
and Madam Chair Gangadin.
always a pleasure to hear positive feedback from the community, and here we just hear that. So aye.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Just want to thank the city for their time and consideration and their cooperation throughout the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Mike, do you need 5 minutes or you can go for the next one?
Now or after the next one either. I see it's Tom Lean. I feel like he knows what he's doing. He's been here before.
So you wanna continue?
Yeah, I'm fine with one more. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I would like to call in case P23-048, conditional use 298 Central Avenue. The applicant is City Farm LLC. Tom Lean?
Good evening, commissioners. For the record, Tom Lean of Connell Foley here on behalf of the applicant. Similar to the applications you heard prior, this is a Class 5 retailer micro business conditional use application located at 298 Central Avenue. It is a notice case. This has actually been carried since July 11th, I believe. So I would just ask your counsel to confirm receipt of my affidavit of notice.
Thank you, Council. I am in receipt of your affidavit of publication proof of mailing. Does appear to be in order. We can mark it as A1 for the record.
Thank you, Santo.
Thank you so much, counsel. Similar to the previous applications, I'm going to call our architect. It's actually Ron Alkins, who just testified in the last application, so he is still under oath. And I would ask that he be promoted and that he share his screen.
Mike, do you need to swear him in again or no?
I don't, but Ron, if you'll just go on record saying that you understand that you remain under oath from 10 minutes ago.
I do. I understand I remain under oath, and it's good to have two projects back to back. So more efficient that.
Thank you.
And you're qualified, so you can proceed.
Excellent. I will share my screen once again. So this obviously is another cannabis dispensary proposal. This one is actually lot 25 of block 3801, also known as 298 Central Avenue. This is in an NC zone. It approximately is 2487 square feet. Single story, also of a multi-use 3-story building. Second and third floors are residential apartments. This existing building fills 100% of the existing site, so there are no parking spaces for bicycles or for cars. Once again, the design consists of reconfiguring of the existing retail space. It was previously used as a pet shop, and very minimal work to the facade, basically cleaning it up with and adding new signage. So the existing plans that you see here are, I'm showing the basement mainly because we need to do some work to the basement to reinforce the floor below the secure areas. So it's a 3-story building in the front, 1-story building in the rear. It's lot line to lot line on all 4 sides. This is just a diagram that shows the 200 or 250, 500 and 1,000 foot distances from the property. The space is a long, narrow space. There are 2 glass, recessed entry with 2 glass display cases in the front. This will only be non-regulated products displayed there with only employee access, mostly just graphics. There's 1 entrance into the space and exit from the space. So this will be the main entrance for deliveries, customers, employees. Everything will come and go from this space. This is actually a vestibule which will house the security identification checkpoint as well as a guard station. All of the doors will have electronic security locks to them. Small retail space in the front, and in the rear, large secure vault, again with reinforced security barriers on all the walls, as well as on the floor below in the basement and the ceiling above on the 1st floor. So no one will try to gain access to the vault either vertically or laterally. There'll be a break room, bathroom, office, quarantine space, as well as a janitor's closet, which will actually securely house any waste, that comes from this product. Most of the cannabis that comes into, or the cannabis products that will come into this space will actually be prepackaged and either in, cardboard, cellophane, plastic. There's basically no raw product that comes into the space. But from time to time, there may be some product that has to be quarantined for pickup from the distributor, where either it's expired or has gone bad. But most of the waste will be housed back here in the janitor's closet, which will again be rolled out to the front on Central Avenue for scheduled pickup. There are a number of security cameras throughout the space, and as well as the exterior. Currently, or most recently, it's vacant now, but most recently it was used as Caribbean Pets. We're going to maintain the security barrier, the roll down shutter, but it'll be painted and cleaned up and repaired as needed. But as you can see on the elevation on the right, the majority of the space is storefront glazing, which will be cleaned up, and new signage will be proposed, and it's within keeping of the NC zone requirements. So we're proposing a 1.5 foot by 4'9" maximum sign dimension. And the existing facade materials will remain an off-white vinyl siding, the brown vinyl faux shake shingle look, as well as aluminum storefront. There'll be the signage will be non-illuminated and limited to the square footages that we show here. So approximately 7.4 square feet is allowed, and we're proposing just over 7.1 square feet. And that's a function of the facade area. So the majority of this space is actually going to be vault and storage and processing space. Very little is actually retail. And there will also be, oops, I'm sorry, wrong page. There will also be additional carbon filtration on any exhaust for odor mitigation purposes. And any cannabis products will be stored securely in the vault to maintain that integrity. So I believe, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, all of the glazing on the front will have additional security laminate applied to it. And I believe that concludes my testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Elkins. Just one question. You have reviewed the ordinance. This is a conditional use. This application meets all the requirements for the conditional use proposed.
It does, yes, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you can stop your screen sharing, please. Any board comments? If there's no board comments, I would like to open for public comments.
Before we do that, Chairwoman, I just want to say that this application did appear before the Cannabis Review Board for Jersey City back in July. It did receive a recommendation. If there are any questions from the board, I do have Deanna Dominguez, who is the principal for the entity here. But other than that, we would be open to public comment and any other comments from city planning.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Anyone from public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
I second it.
Public is closed. Council, would you like to provide a closing statement, or you're good?
I am good. I anticipate the comments from our planner, Mr. Espinoza. I've reviewed them and I believe they are acceptable, but obviously he will read them into the record.
Francisco, would you provide your staff comments, please?
Sure. So I'll be reading the recommended conditions one more time. So the first one is all materials and color selection shall be shown on the final plan. No change to the facade and site design, including materials as well as any changes that may be required by the Office of Construction Code shall be permitted without consultation with and approval by planning staff. All testimony given by the applicant and their witness in accordance with this application shall be binding. The architect of record shall provide an affidavit confirming that the development is built in accordance with the approved plans prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy. The memorialized resolution shall be recorded with the office of the county registrar and made part of the deed. In addition, documentation of the same shall be submitted to the Division of City Planning prior to the application for construction permits. And lastly, the applicant shall comply with the condition of approval set forth on the record by the planning board and or the Division of City Planning staff. And with that, staff does recommend approval.
Counselor, are you in agreement with the staff conditions?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P 23-048 for conditional use with planning staff conditions.
I second it.
On a
Thank
motion,
you.
on a
Roll
motion,
call.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
Yeah, I like the fact that it's kind of like organically moving from like pets to pot, so
and Madam Chair Gagnon.
Aye,
Motion carries all in favor.
thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good evening.
You
Thank you.
too.
That's what-
Mike, you need a 5?
Yes, please. Thank you.
We'll be back at 9:20.
And Madam Chair, just before we break, I don't know, Cameron, if you want to check. It is 9:12. We're gonna be back at 9:20.
So Mr. Lean actually just sent an email formally requesting to carry item 27 on the agenda, case P 22-211 for 342 Johnson Avenue. So that's the only communication I've received.
Fair enough. Just so everybody's aware, it is 9:20, 9:13. We'll be back at 9:20. Madam Chair, I suspect that you're gonna honor the policy of stopping testimony at 10 o'clock, but.
Yes. We
Yes.
will. So
Okay.
Cameron, you want to work on behind the scene to see who would like to carry?
Yeah, I will reach out to Mr. John Curley and Mr. Joseph on Graham. And
Okay,
yeah, Wayne, we'll see. Okay.
thank you. We'll be back at 9:20. Can we come back to order? Can we come back to order, please? Pam, did we hear back from anyone?
No, but I sent the emails.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, I would like to call on case P 22-208. Address is 180 Morgan Street. Applicant is Contract Logistic Inc. This is for a minor site plan with C variance. The attorney is James McCann.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners, staff, and Council Lampe. My name is Jim McCann from the law firm of Connell Foley in Jersey City. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, who is actually 184 Morgan Street, fee owner LLP. There's a minor error in the agenda. The property we're here on tonight is block 11507, lot 6.01, which is commonly known as 180 Morgan Street. And it is in the Morgan Grove Marin redevelopment plan, not the Powerhouse Arts District plan as referenced on the agenda. The project is a newly completed 41-story mixed-use building with a ground floor. The ground floor is anchored by a theater, art center, and gallery, and there are also 2 commercial spaces there. Before I go any further, I should probably point out that this is a notice case, so I will defer to Mr. Lampe to confirm he has my affidavit of service and publication.
Thank you, counsel. I am in receipt of your affidavit of publication, proof of mailing with respect to the application of 180 Morgan Street for a minor site plan with C variance. It does appear to be in order. We'll mark it as A1 for the record.
Thank you, counsel. And as counsel mentioned, this is the relief requested is a minor site plan approval. We have a handful of minor deviations for a signage package for the art, for the theater and for the 2 commercial spaces. For the purposes of judicial economy, due to the fact that this is a very simple application, I was going to do an informal presentation, just show the board the plans that have been on file on the web portal for approximately 6 weeks. They have been reviewed by staff. We could just show you the deviations, and then I can have my planner, Carol, or Stel from Dresden Robin talk to you about the deviations if you feel it's even necessary. So if it please the board, I'm going to share my screen.
So, Mr. McCann, you're actually going to just walk the board through the plan?
Council.
Chairman, I have no issue with that. I think for judicial economy, council's correct. It probably moves it all that much faster.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, Madam Chair. So these are the filed plans. You can see this is a zoning chart. But if we go right to page 2 of the filed plans, this is an elevation for one of the retail spaces. There's 2 components to the signage package here. One component is very simply a blade sign that is over the entrance of the retail space. The other component of the signage package is what you see on the screen, the window signage. Now, the redevelopment plan contains a provision that says window signage is permitted, but you can't have words on it other than the business name. And you can see at the bottom of this signage package, there are some words on it that are not the business name. That's the extent of the deviation for this signage package. Other than that, it complies with the redevelopment plan. And you can see here what the signage actually looks like. That will get us to the next elevation, which is page 4. This is the Art House production signage package. And if you look at the top of the screen, you can see that very similar to the retail space, this signage band has words on it other than the name of the business. Name of the business is at the bottom, Art House, which is short for Art House Productions, nonprofit theater. So right up here, there's words other than the business. That is a deviation from the redevelopment plan. The other deviation is that this signage is internally illuminated, and that's a second deviation from the Art House production signage package. Another deviation, this is on a different facade of the building, but this sign is a wall sign, and there is a limitation in the redevelopment plan that the wall sign can only be 20% of the total window area. Wall sign exceeds that percentage. So we're asking for a deviation on that sign also. The final sign for Art House Productions is another wall sign, red lettering. And this again is, as you could see from the plan, an illuminated sign, which is another deviation. This is what the Art House signage looks like in real life. Really a very nice signage package along, that's Marin Boulevard. And then down here, you could see the full element of it, Marin Boulevard and Bay Street. And that's the Art House wall sign. When you go to the next facade, this is the other retail space, full compliance with the redevelopment plan. There is a blade sign and a wall sign, and no deviations required. Final, that's the facade of the building where the signage will go. Final part of the application is simply building signage for the residential component of the building. A little tough to see at this level, but there's signage down here. The easiest way to show you it is right here. There's a 180, and right below it, this is a blow up 180 Morgan. This signage package is also in compliance with the redevelopment plan, so no additional deviation. Deviations are, as I said, wording other than the business name, illuminated signage, and this one sign exceeds the 20% limitation. That's the extent of our presentation. I think this is a very nice signage package. It does require a number of deviations, but it's very modern, very lively, visually interesting. And if the board has no further questions about it and feels that the deviations can be granted, I could forego the testimony of my planner. But if there's any doubt about the signage package, I will have Ms. Worstel testify regarding how the benefits of the package outweigh the deviations. And I think Cameron Black concluded in his report for you that there's no negative impact on the zoning plan or the community from the signage package. But again, if you'd like further information on the deviations, we will put Carol up. That's
So McCann, I just have one quick question on the commercial space sign, the illuminated sign. What is the timing? Is it the store time when the store is closed, the sign will be off, or it would be still continue to lit?
so there's no illumination on the retail signage. The only illumination is on the Art House production signage. I actually don't know if there's a limitation on it. I know the signage will be, I know the theater will be operable at night. So I imagine it would be beneficial to the public and the Art House production to be able to have the signage illuminated and lit at night. I might need to defer to Carol Worstel. She might have information on the the illumination timing.
You want me to swear her in,
Carol.
Jim? Just to get that answer?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
You want me to swear her in, Jim?
yes, please.
Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
Hello,
Do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could, just spell your name, please.
It's Carolyn Worstel, Worstell.
Thank you.
Carolyn, I know we qualify you in the past. Is your license still current?
It is current and in good standing this evening, yes.
Thank you. If
Madam
you just
Chair,
answer that quick question for me,
Yeah,
please.
before Carolyn testifies, I think it's probably reasonable for me to say that while the theater is in operation at night, it would want the signage off. I mean, on, but when the theater is closed for the evening, I don't see a problem with, if it pleases the board, having it shut down. Carol, can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, I don't have any information about the timing, but that would be my understanding is that they would probably want to have it lit while the theater is open and operational during the evenings. And then at the end of whatever production at the evening, they would close it. They would turn off the lights. And I'm sure that that is something that can be accommodated. I will say
Okay.
the illumination is specifically for, I think it's on page 5. It's the art house and it's the letters, they actually are above the door. It's not the sign band along the frontage of the building. It's just the art house and it's just above the door. So that is what is going to be illuminated, and it's the internal illumination. So the letters are, obviously sort of structural letters that are above the facade, and those will have an internal illumination with LEDs. So, I mean, they have a lot of control with timing and all how bright it is. So, and that is something we have seen in the downtown. I know that there are similar styles of internally illuminated lighting in other businesses in the downtown, including across the street. So it is
Okay.
something that is found throughout the downtown, that style of lighting.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McCann, that concludes your presentation.
Yes.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? If you can stop screen sharing, please. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, I would just say that the signage, I mean, those of us who are familiar with that strip of Marin know that the building is nice. And then putting up these signs, it highlights the chock full of charming boutiques with this towering luxuriousness that's not too grandiose. I think that, what the lighting, if we could maybe just consider, maybe whoever's handling this from planning, just say, at a certain point, 11, 12, sort of like Broadway, rather than, say, well, because I think it really makes that strip of Jersey City. I love riding down there. Like I said, it's spectacular. So that's my only comment. So to regulate it at maybe 11 p.m. or 11:30, 12 off.
I think the applicant could probably agree to that.
Yeah, well, it's ever reasonable for them, Jim. I mean, nobody's, saying that. I think it'll save the money. I think that's a good thing. And I think it won't keep neighbors up or annoy them. But during, like that span from 7 or 8 p.m. until 11 or 12, Jersey City, greatness. Oof.
Yeah, the standard condition is hours of operation. Illumination is permitted, so we can add that as a fourth condition, that illumination is during hours of operation.
Beautiful. Thanks, Cal.
Fair enough.
Okay, Madam Chair, do we want to open to public?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize that. I'd like to open for public comment.
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Second it.
Public is closed. Council, any closing comments?
No, just waiting for Cameron's conditions.
Okay, Cameron, you want to take it from there?
Okay, so in addition to the 3 conditions stated in planning staff memo dated July 25th of this year, we'll just add that 4th condition for the illumination permitted only during hours of operation. And beyond that, Mr. McCann and Mr. Restell have addressed comments, concerns of planning staff, and planning staff recommends approval.
Thank you.
Cameron, I
I'd like to,
apologize. Oh, I'm sorry.
Council, are you in
Madam
agreement
Chair.
with those conditions?
There's the first condition, Cameron says that we have to submit an affidavit confirming the building was built in accordance with the plans prior to the issuance of a CO. The building is already fully CO'd.
Yeah.
So we really maybe don't need that condition.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can scrap that in the resolution.
All other conditions agreed to by the applicant, Madam Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for a vote.
I'm sure I'd like to motion to approve case P22-208 for minor site plan with C variances and planning staff conditions.
I second it.
Acting, acting Vice Chair Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky,
I love it. I vote aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
and Acting Chair, Madame Gangaden.
Aye,
Motion carries all in favor with conditions.
thank you.
Thank you for your time, as always, commissioners. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. I'd like to move on to case P23-017. Address is 115 Wayne Street. Applicant is Meredith Tibet, and it's a minor subdivision with C variances. Attorney Stephen Joseph.
Stephen Joseph has left the meeting. I'm assuming Michael Higgins could speak on his behalf.
Yes, I'll be taking this one, Karen.
Good evening, Mr. Higgins.
Good evening, everyone. I have one witness for this application. That's Joseph Caulfield, our surveyor. If we can promote him.
Council, by way of housekeeping, I am in receipt of an affidavit of publication, proof of mailing with respect to the application at 115 Wayne Street here in the city. I'm going to mark it as A1 for purposes of the record.
Okay, thank you, counsel. Michael Higgins of Castano Quigley and Charami on behalf of the applicant. This is for 115 Wayne Street. That's block 14.02. And this is joined by 109.5 Wayne Street, block 17.01. This is a minor subdivision with variances. I'd say at the outset, it looks more intense from a legal perspective than it is practically speaking. The minor subdivision is basically a boundary adjustment where for 115 Wayne Street, the actual lot extends into the lot behind it, which is 109.5 Wayne Street. And this will be all much clearer when you see it on the subdivision plans and plat prepared by Mr. Caulfield. But within those 10 feet, the owner of 109.5 Wayne Street has AC units, makes use of that property, and it's actually behind a dividing wall in the rear of 115 Wayne Street. So essentially, by this subdivision, there's going to be no physical change, no practical change in the manner that any of these buildings are used. And it's solely, I guess I would have to call it a legal technicality that we need these variances in order to correct this error made several years ago. And I'd also note, if I didn't already, the owner of 109.5 Wayne Street, Roger Jones, has also signed off and has joined in this application. So the owners of both lots are in agreement to this boundary adjustment. With that introduction, I think we could promote Mr. Caulfield and have him sworn in. He could share the plans. Is he?
He's here and I could
I'm
swear
here.
him in.
Yep.
Hi, Joe. I'll swear in. If you could raise your right hand, do you swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
My name is Joseph Caulfield, Caulfield.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Caulfield. Did we qualify you in the past?
Yes, you have.
Is your license still current?
My license is still current. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may proceed with your presentation.
Certainly. Let me see if I can get my screen share up on this, which would be here. Okay, this is, as you can tell, this is a subdivision plat that we prepared that I think you've probably seen already. The lower left-hand corner happens to be the actual survey of the existing conditions, identifying the lots that we're concerned with, as well as a couple of the neighboring lots. The upper left-hand corner of the survey plat identifies the two lots that we're discussing tonight and the re-division of the two lots at issue. Now, let me just get this. As you can see, we're dealing with lots 17 on the left-hand side, the present lot allocation. You'll see we're dealing with lots 1701 and lots 1402. Lot 1701 is a flag lot that is reached by the actual structure in the back. If you can tell by the bottom left-hand side of the plat, is a two-story brick that's reached by a driveway coming from Wayne Street. The lot 1402, that's also part of this redivision, a reallocation of lot lines, is the 3.5-story brick here at 115 Wayne Street. The present, as you can see, staying with the survey in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that 115 Wayne Street jumps back 80 feet, which is in this area here, and then comes back down to Wayne Street, which is also shown up here as well in the upper left-hand corner in the breakdown map, that it runs 80 feet and over. What the subdivision application is looking for is to essentially take the existing lot lines of neighboring lots 15 and 16 down here and just extending that lot line across. As council might have mentioned to you, this is a very, very, very different lot for this area. It's actually, if you've never seen this spot, I advise you to go take a look at it. It is an absolute historic gem of Jersey City. And the reason I say that is the three buildings along the front on Wayne Street, which are 111, 113, and 115, I believe it was at the end of the 19th century that they were erected. And in the back was the two-story carriage house, which held the horses and carriages for these very high-end, at the time, brownstones. All three of these buildings had access to the two-story brick carriage house. If you see right here on my drawing where I'm highlighting, there is a wall that runs the length of all those lots. There's actually passageways through each of these walls for these three buildings to gain access to the rear of the carriage house at the time. They're now sealed up by the owner of the rear of the building. I think the rear carriage house. The rear carriage house is 109.5 Wayne Street. It really is an historic gem. The present owners have all these places looking great, and the owner in the back, 109.5, Mr. Jones, who's part of this subdivision application, it's a complete showplace. It's lovely manicured and so on. The reason that this popped up is this entire issue we did a survey for 115 Wayne Street, which identified this area in here. This area is a patio used by 109.5 Wayne Street, the carriage house, but technically it was part of 115 Wayne Street. I believe that all the owners in this area of these four lots actually believe that the lot line in the rear continued all the way across, because as you can see in 115 Wayne Street here, we have that same wall coming across. The owners, the present owners of 115 Wayne Street were satisfied that they only wanted their property up to that boundary, that wall. They wanted their boundary to be that wall, and they weren't concerned with the patio in the back of the wall, which was the patio of 109.5, which they agreed to conduct a subdivision to essentially permanently put the lot line at this 70-foot depth mark. I'm not sure how long Mr. Jones, who's the owner of 109.5, has been there. I think it's been over 10 years. There was, to tell you the truth, until we got involved in preparing a survey for the sale of 115 Wayne Street, nobody knew that there was this issue. We brought it up with the title company because we have a deed that was giving the dimension, the lot depth of lot 1402 as 80 feet. I believe everyone that had lived there, at least for the past 10, 15 years, believed that it all stopped at the wall here, which makes sense when you're looking at it from a physical point of view when you're visiting the home. The other reason is I think that the owners of the carriage house and the preceding owners of the carriage house have always been using this property as well. Because again, this wall structure in here has been there, I think, since the entire development was put together. Going again, I believe at the later part of the 19th century, excuse me. It makes sense from just from I want to say a consumer point of view, or from a third party point of view. The reason I started off my presentation or my testimony was saying it's a very different situation, because if you look on the right-hand side of my plat, you'll see the filed map for the area. And you'll see there all the lot depths go to 100, and that's the standard for this zone. We're in the the historic zone here. But this whole situation, these 4 lots here, were created as a special. Again, I consider it a gem of Jersey City, a special situation. And as a matter of fact, if you look at our zoning map in Jersey City, you'll see that lots 15, 16, and 1701 are part of their own subzone in the historic. It's the Wayne, it's called the 109.5, 111, 113 Wayne Street redevelopment plan, which was approved in 1991. The Historic Commission's identified it as being something worth keeping. I believe that what we're proposing as far as reapportioning lot 1402 is a 70-foot depth to match neighboring lots 15 and 16, brings it into conformance with what was anticipated when this was actually created. That kind of is backed up by, as we prepared our survey, we were looking through the historical mapping of the area, and that seems to be what was envisioned at the time, I believe. In case you have this question, as we prepare surveys, especially in this context, we pull deeds from everybody surrounding our piece. So we pull deeds from behind our piece, lots 32 and 31. And to the west, lots 12, and we were able to create that historic envelope essentially, and it just confirmed that historic envelope, if that makes sense. I will leave as far as the area calculations and the variances. I'll leave that for Mr. Higgins to run through, but it seems that this would make sense. Again, to put this lot 1402 to create the new lot, what we have listed on the right-hand side is what we're proposing as far as the subdivision, the proposed allocation, and it'll be an actual flag lot with a defined horizontal boundary, if you will, west to east, that matches up with the rest of that historic development, if you will. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Sure.
You can stop the screen share.
Thank you.
I'll turn this off, or would you like to?
Yeah, we can always
question that?
pull up again if anyone from the
Okay.
has any
I'll
questions.
turn it.
Okay.
At this time, I would like to ask the board if there is any comments. Anyone from the
Madam
board?
Chair, I do have a couple of questions, just more out
Sure.
of curiosity as I'm looking at this. Mr. Caulfield, was this subdivided or was the carriage house part of the other
That's-
lots?
Well, actually, it's being, as you can tell by what we presented, it actually is assessed as a separate lot. Do I know if it was, I believe when it was actually created, I believe it was created as a separate lot. That's based on a 1927 Hopkins map. It shows it.
Why so late?
Oh, I'm sorry, is that me?
That's not you.
Okay. I based that on like maybe a 1927 Hopkins map that we have that indicates that they were 4 separate lots. So it was, I believe, broken up at some point many years ago or decades ago.
Right. It's fascinating.
It is. I mean, honestly, I don't mean, listen, I know it's late and I don't want to take your time. Definitely go and ring the doorbell and see this. There's a cobblestone street that runs in that driveway. It's part of the historic act there. It's just, you wouldn't even think you're in Jersey City. It's absolutely magnificent.
And the carriage house is now a residential home?
The carriage house is a single family residential home, 2 stories. It's really nice. On the west side of it, where that patio situation is, which is part of the subdivision, they have like a slate patio out there which is also walled. You can see from my survey around there. It's an idyllic, it's like the Magic Garden if you read that book.
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
So that wall does extend, and essentially where those AC units in the patio is, everybody was under the impression that that was part of the lot 1701.
That's correct.
And that's
That's
what
correct.
actually functions.
That's correct. Absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
Practically as
Sorry,
the,
Madam
as-
Chair, this stuff is,
It's interesting.
you don't come across it every day.
You don't. And,
Exactly, yeah.
for my business, and we've been in Hudson County for 90 years, and when we find something like this, it's like an antiques roadshow kind of a deal.
Right.
I don't mean to be so excited about it, but in surveying, there are very few things to be excited about.
Right. Any questions from the board?
No, but to Santo's point, it's fascinating that the division is going from 115 and jumps 13 and 11 to, transferred over to 109.
Yeah.
How that got configured is,
I have to say, I mean, even driving down Wayne Street, I mean, there, as you know, the area, they're just magnificent structures when they were erected, and they look great now. So I think it was a very, very high end development. It might have been a situation too. My father mentioned this to me. It might have been a family that maybe owned all 3 of them. We see that in some situations. In Hoboken, we have that too on Castle Point Terrace, where someone with a lot of money put up 3 houses on Hudson Street, and they were all for sisters, actually.
Right.
So I'd like to see what historic might say. I'll do that on my own. I'll let you guys know, but I'm curious.
Sure.
I
If there's no other comments from, you want to go ahead?
I agree with you because I use Jones and Associates, who's at 111. And the inside of that building in particular is a walk back in Jersey City's halcyon days. So
it would make a great movie set. I don't want to say that to anybody because I don't like the traffic, but it would be a great movie set.
More confusion in downtown.
Yeah, right.
Congestion, not confusion, congestion.
All right, at this time, I would like to open up for public. Anyone from the public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, you have any closing statement?
I'd just like to note that, once again, from a practical standpoint, the properties are going to continue to be used as they have been used. And there's no physical changes as part of this application. But that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Cam, you want to wrap this up with your staff comments?
Yes, and I'll keep it equally brief. Mr. Higgins, you agree to the conditions in the staff memo dated August 4th of this year, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, planning staff sees no detriment to the zone planned, or the historic district. And planning staff recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you, Cam. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for a vote.
Madam Chair. Sorry, my apologies. So, Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P 23-017 for minor subdivision with C variances with planning staff conditions.
I second it.
Second it.
All right, acting Vice Chair Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai. One more time.
Aye.
Okay,
Oh, I don't-
Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Gangadin.
Aye,
Motion carries all in favor with conditions.
thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone. A pleasure speaking with you all.
Same
Same here.
Madam Chair, I see we have 4 minutes before the witching hour.
Well, as board practice, we do not open any new case at the 10 o'clock hour.
But it's 4 minutes of.
Cam, have you reached out to anyone? Have anyone reached out to you?
Well, we have Mr. Higgins here who can.
Next one is mine. Yeah. So this one's a minor site plan with no variances. I have as witnesses an architect, an engineer, and a traffic engineer, but I think it would be fine with just architectural test. We could pull up engineering testimony, given that the board would want to hear this at this hour. Anyway.
I was gonna carry this. 21 and 28,
Okay.
because we
Yep.
still have resolution to memorialize.
Yep, so we'll
Santa?
just request to preserve notices for the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Cam, is Mr. Curley still on?
I just promoted him and he's joining us.
And I don't think we actually called that last case or identified it, if you want to just put that on the record.
Sorry, it's case P23-016. Address is 119 New Creek Street. The applicant is Hudson County Community College. It's a section 31.
I think Mike was referring to Mr. Higgins' case. Case P22-215, it's a minor site plan application, 99-101 Graham Street. Mr. Higgins, we're gonna carry that, and you consent to carry the preservation of notice to the September 5th meeting?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
It's okay, thank you. And also we'll be carrying case P23-106, which is 119 New Creek Street. Applicant is Hudson County Community College, to the September 5th meeting.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Curley?
Well, it's beyond the 45-day limit for review in a section 31. But I'm not sure whether I have either one of my experts still here, since I didn't have their cell phone numbers.
That makes me feel better, Mr. Curley.
We have Allison Stroka raising their hand.
Well, that's the person I need. It's the only one. One witness, 5 minutes of testimony.
Madam Chair, on the section 31s, we do have a time limit, and if we do not hear it, then it is deemed recommended, and they can move on either way. So I'm
open to your suggestions, Anto.
if Mr. Curley can do it in 5 minutes on behalf of the college, we probably should have done it when we did the
Yeah.
site sign package.
All
Mr.
right.
Curley,
So
can you
Mr.
get it done in
Curley,
5 minutes?
You can get it done in 5 minutes. We had a prep meeting, so Allison knows exactly where we're going with it. It won't take long.
Let's swear in then, Mr. Curley.
Hi, Allison. I'll swear you in. If you could raise your right hand. You swear any testimony you give tonight is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And for the record, can you state and spell your name, please?
It's Allison, Allison, Soroka, Sroka.
Thank you.
Allison, good evening. Did we qualify you in the past?
No,
Would you like to give us a very brief qualification?
yep, I have a bachelor's degree from NJIT, and I am a licensed architect in New Jersey in good standing for 5 years.
Okay. Is your license current?
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Okay, I'll just quickly share my screen.
Sure.
Good.
Okay.
It's up.
All right, so the lot is currently occupied by a parking lot and a building. The building is going to be torn down, and we are going to be putting on a complete parking lot, full pavement with stackers. The stackers are going to be triple stackers, a total of 36. We're also going to be accommodating a guard booth in the upper left-hand corner, right on Newkirk Street, and we're also accommodating a van parking for handicap. The entrance will be still off of Newkirk, and then there'll be access for all the stackers from the center.
Is it the case that the parking at this location is needed to offset the loss of parking for the other building that the college is building?
Yes.
And would this project advance the goals of the master plan?
Yes.
And would it also be consistent with the master plan?
Yes.
I have no other questions.
That ends your testimony?
Yes.
Thank you.
We didn't hear your video.
Yes.
If you can please stop sharing your screen. Thank you. Any board comments? Any comments from the board? Any comments from the board? No? Okay, at this time, I would like to move to public comments. Anyone from the public?
Madam Chair, seeing no one from the public wishing to speak on this application, I move to close.
I second it.
Thank you. Public is closed. Council, you have any closing statements?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Who's our planner on this? Matt,
Yes,
would you like to
hi.
give us your staff comments?
Sure. So staff reached out and asked, and the applicant confirmed that this parking lot will be used for faculty, students, and staff of Hudson County Community College, sorry. And looking at this application and how it would comport with the master plan, this is an important institution to the Journal Square Central Business District. It is also located on a distributed campus where it's on across several sites. They're in the process of redeveloping one of their surface parking lots and saw the need to create opportunity for parking at this location as part of their campus. Staff considers this to meet the goals and objectives of the master plan.
Thank you. Mr. Curley, are you in agreement with staff comments?
Excuse me?
Are you in agreement with staff comments?
Yes, I am in agreement with the staff comments.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I motion to approve case P 23-106 for the purposes of a section 31 with, no, there's no staff condition, so.
I second it.
Roll call.
Okay, we have Commissioner Lipsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Cruz,
Aye.
Commissioner Stamato,
Aye.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
and Acting Chair Gangadin.
Aye.
Motion carries, all in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for accommodating us.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Curley.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to memorialization of resolutions. Ken?
All right, we have a total of 6 resolutions tonight. Bear with me. These are fun. So here we go. Resolution number 1, resolution City of Jersey City Planning Board, case number P23-010. The applicant is 19 Storms LLC. Address is 119 Storms Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. The block is 15003, lot 9. It was decided September 20th of 2022, and it was an application for conditional use. Resolution number 2 of the Planning Board of the City of Jersey City, applicant the Barrow Street LLC for a preliminary and final major site plan approval with deviations at address 157 Newark Avenue, 324 Barrow Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, block 11405, lots 2.01, and it is a case P22-168, number 3 resolution of the City of Jersey City Planning Board approving an amendment to a preliminary and final major site plan with deviations and conditions. The applicant is 711 Montgomery owner LLC for a site plan amendment to a preliminary and final major site plan with conditions. The property address is 711 Montgomery Street, block 15004, lot 15.01, case number P23-068. 4th resolution of the City of Jersey City Planning Board in the matter of TFJ Jersey City LLC, 80 and 112 Thomas McGovern Drive, block 21506, lots 3 and 4. Case number P21-020. It was decided on August 22nd of this year, and it was memorialized on August 22nd of this year. Application for a 1-year extension of preliminary final major site plan with deviations. Resolution for memorialization number 5. This is a resolution of the Jersey City Planning Board. Applicant is AR SciTech LLC for a preliminary and final major site plan approval with deviations. The address is 189 Phillips Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, block 21504, lot 4.04. A formerly part of 225 Phillips Street, block 21504, lots 4.01 and 5. Prior to its subdivision. The case number was P22-220. The final resolution for tonight, resolution of the Jersey City Planning Board in the matter of Judd LLC, JUD LLC. The address is 36 Jones Street, block 10704. The lot is 36. The case number is P23-004. It was decided on July 11th of this year and memorialized tonight. Application for an amended final site plan approval with deviations. That concludes the resolutions for memorialization tonight.
Madam Chair, I motion to accept the resolutions presented from Secretary Black.
I
And
second.
roll call.
All right, on a motion to approve memorialization of resolutions, acting Vice Chair Cruz.
Aye, and I like the acting vice chair.
Yep.
Be
All
back.
right. Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Desai,
Aye.
Commissioner Lipsky.
I'm going to follow my acting vice chair and vote aye.
Nice. Huh. Commissioner Stamato
Aye.
and acting Chair Gongadin.
Aye.
All right, motion carries, all in favor of memorialization of resolutions.
We don't need another executive session, so we're out of that.
I motion to adjourn this beautiful meeting.
I second it.
Acting vice chair seconds it.
Mhm.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.